Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Calling All Heroes Challengers Cup. We are here starting off our qualifier round, and my name is Waffles for Sid. I am joined by Naori Mizuki, and we are so excited to be kicking off this incredible event coming up. Sam, how are you doing, and how are you feeling going into, a big event like this weekend, and honestly, just a big change in how we want to try and push the community?
Honestly, excited is the TLDR. The marginalized gender scene for me in esports in general is super important, and anyone who knows me knows that I try to have a finger in every single one of those esports as I possibly can. So really excited to be back here doing Overwatch. I know you and we got to do the Empowerment Cup earlier this year, and that already just showed how much passion there is and how much interest there is and how many people want to get involved and want to have something like this. So super stoked to have this official play Overwatch tournament specifically for these people. I cannot believe that we finally made it here, but I'm over the moon.
I mean, pretty much took the words out of my mouth right there. We're going to see some familiar faces from those other empowerment cups around the block as we get into, the thick of the gameplay and the tournament. But, there is a lot on the line as far as what we're going to be looking at today. This is our first qualifier, right? One of two qualifiers for this overall tournament. And, well, day one and day two, it's all about those round robin Swiss stages, and from there we'll see who the top 16 are, and we'll move along to our playoffs on day 3. And Sam, that's when it really picks up.
Yeah, and obviously this is just the first qualifier, so there are 2 rounds of this to get yourself a spot, and there's quite a lot on the line here. You take a look at the finals, there's like a $25,000 prize pool.
Ooh, man.
And every team that makes it to the finals will get a slice of that pie, so that is really exciting. It's a great way to kickstart this scene, to kickstart an amazing tournament structure for marginalized genders. And as you said, so the first couple of days we've got the Swiss round, we've got 6 rounds of Swiss round, and then of course the top 16 going through to the playoffs. And obviously it's the playoffs where the major action happens, where the stakes become that much higher. But there's a lot of, as you said, right, there's some familiar faces from Empowerment Cup if you were here for that. And
right.
I'm looking forward to seeing what these teams are going to be capable of now, particularly, after a few months of being able to play a little bit more. And now with Overwatch 2 having released officially, a lot of people have had a lot more time to actually play on that and get used to a lot of the changes that have happened, since the move over from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. So pretty curious to see what the overall result is going to be here this weekend.
Yeah, this is going to be, the very first pretty much empowerment event for marginalized genders on Overwatch 2. So, kicking off with a big event here and hoping to start strong as we continue through the weekend. For our first round of the Swiss rounds, we'll be going to Busan every single time. And then from there, we'll see what the loser picks as far as our hybrid, escort, and push maps. As we progress through the rounds, you guys will see the remaining maps that we roll through of Ilios and Lijiang, and then the remainder of Nepal and Oasis tomorrow. It's going to be, like I said, loser will pick after each round, and well, it's going to be a first to 2 for these first 2 days of our matches. And, that's not a lot of wiggle room to make too many mistakes. And it's probably going to put some extra pressure on some of these players. This is the first time some of them are really getting the opportunity to compete at this level, and at a level where there is this support to bring this competition to everybody and, bring the competition to you folks as well.
Yeah, and obviously with this being an open qualifier, the skill disparity could also come into play. And of course, this is where we're going to separate the wheat from the chaff and figure out who those top teams are.
Oh, the week from the chaff. I love that. Yes. And, well, there's definitely some big names coming through. To be named, definitely going to be quite the heavy hitter coming up with Altiora Skywards. Well, Altiora is a name that many of us have seen around the block. They have quite a handful of teams here in this tournament as well, Sam. And I gotta say, it's really nice to see that, well, a lot of them are stepping forward. They're getting their chance to shine in the limelight. And way to go for a big haul over there. Looks like you guys were already doing something right about, making sure all marginalized genders are included. And, well, I love seeing it.
Yeah, I'm really excited because, as you mentioned, we spoke a little bit about the Empowerment Cup teams, and like our third, fourth teams from Empowerment Cup in number one on Overbuff and Mochi. Both of those teams are here competing as well. So looking forward to seeing how that's going to be. And obviously, with Empowerment Cup having been kind of an unofficial third-party tournament, sometimes it doesn't get the same number of eyes on it. So it might not get the same level of activity and signups and so on. Now we get into the official supported tournaments, right? So there's going to be so much more interest for this, which means that there are going to be so many more players who are keen to become a part of this. And I think that the skill ceiling will definitely have risen so much, and I really look forward to seeing some of the incredible players coming through here again this time around, and of course some of the newer players as well. And I think that this is just a great platform for these ladies, for all of these marginalized
folks,
genders. Yeah, 100%, to just show what they're made of.
I totally agree with you there. And, with this Calling All Heroes initiative being announced literally alongside Overwatch 2 as a brand new video game, this is really a big opportunity for everyone in the community and Blizzard here to pave a new path and hopefully a new era in kind of what's going on during, in the video game scene. I think there's been a lot of really great directional trending so far, and this is exactly what we need to keep the momentum rolling. And it's always a nice little spirit booster here and there. Everyone seems to be so great, especially behind the scenes on the production side. Sam, we already had our couple panic attacks in the back, and of course they've already brought you this magic you see right here, and it's perfect. So got a lot of great folks just on the game side, on behind the scenes, really making this a special opportunity.
And now we could probably dive in and actually take a look at the teams that we're going to be showing to everyone first up today. And this is a really exciting one. So this is to be named. And, there's some interesting names on this team, to be 100% sure. And looking forward to seeing how they perform here. Now, this, of course, is a pretty seasoned team of players that have kind of competed in a few tournaments here and there. They're relatively high-rated players as well. So I think that there's going to be some really, really strong competition in this team.
Yeah, they're definitely someone you want to keep your eye on throughout this entire tournament, right? They're definitely going to be a heavy hitter. There's people, they've probably got a bit of a target on their back from some other teams rolling through. But looking over at the next one, right, we have Altiora Skyward. And, they're not quite as high of an SR as we saw for to be named. But look, Sam, I personally have I have a personal connection here with Skywards, and Shadow right there. Shadow is a content creator who has they created my very first play-by-play casting reel. So, really kind of hits home for me, bringing it full circle to be here with all of you broadcasting them. So, of course, best of luck to you out there, Shadow, or as you might also know them as Shadow Kitten. But, it's going to be a tough battle. Okay, let's not be kidding ourselves. To be named, we're heavy hitters, but Skywards are here, and I am excited to see what they bring to the table.
And for obviously a lot of people, you might recognize Briggsy there, or Briggsy Cake.
Of course.
Obviously, they are huge in the Overwatch scene. They also were part of some, was it Sojourn? When Sojourn was announced, they were a part of the, interviews and discussions around that. So a really big name, a really well-known name, and really looking forward to seeing what they're capable of here today.
Yeah, I gotta agree. And well, we're moving into, like I mentioned earlier, Busan as our first control map, right? It's pointless to speculate, what the compositions might be, because, downtown versus Mecha Base are going to be very, very different rollouts. So I don't want to, jump the gun too far there. But after we go to our control map, we'll move to hybrid. And of course, it's best of two. So we'll see if we move along to escort after that. And if there happens to be a tie, which I know we all love and definitely want here, we'll get to actually go to push for today. So may the odds be ever in our favor.
I'm really looking forward to this, and also just a quick one. So if you weren't aware, Kiriko is available for this tournament, so we could see some Kiriko action coming through here as well. She's my new main, so I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of people play her. I'm terrible at her, so I need to get some pointers. I need to see how these players do it so that I know what to do when I get back to my comp games. But aside from that, I think there are a few heroes that definitely kind of stand a cut above. You look at heroes like Sojourn, who has been incredibly strong. Diva she's a terrifying assassin. Zarya has also been really, really impactful. So I'm looking forward to see what might come out here. But as I say, got a little bit of a soft spot for the potential of the Kiriko.
I hope we see some Kiriko as well. Personally, I love Zarya. As something about being aggressive and just face tanking so much damage and protecting your teammates, or you got hooked and I bail you out, and their adrenaline's pumping, but over there you're just like, I got you, homie. I am excited to see hopefully a resurgence of the Zarya composition, and hopefully that max charge, once you can manage to maintain it, it's quite the laser, and you'll die in a blink of an eye. You're not getting away very quick, Genji, which is a nice change of pace.
What makes me super excited for the potential Kiriko as well is obviously with her cleanse, that makes her a really strong counter to Ana, which I think is so needed at the moment. And I really want to see, that come out to play a little bit, because let's face it, when an Ana nade comes out, if 4 or 5 people get hit by that, you can really start to feel a little overwhelmed, a little stressed out. I mean, sure, Zarya could maybe cleanse herself and one other player on the team, but or maybe 2 now because she gets 2 bubbles. But
we're not that selfless. We're not going to give both bubbles. We're keeping one for ourselves.
100%, But now you can throw out that cleanse and you can keep going, and it's so nice to have a counter to that. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of that come out. I'd actually be curious to see how that potentially impacts how much Ana we see get played here today.
I agree with you, and the cooldown on that is extremely fast for that cleanse as well. And so that's definitely a factor that plays into the usability of Kiriko and that kit, right? The teleportation she has, ooh, man, that is a nice, well, it depends on how you play it. For me, more often than not, it's a bailout move.
Yes.
Some people have that vision and that skill to be able to move preemptively to where they need, or use it, more offensively. Like the disruptor shot. Sometimes I'm just trying to prevent you from chasing me.
Yeah, I mean, I made the mistake in one of my games today. I was like, oh, better go save the Sombra. And as I, teleported to her, she teleported out. And there were like 4 people on top of me. It was a little painful. But I imagine that the any potential Kirikos we see here today will be a little bit more skillful than I am, to say the very least.
I assume I'll be in the same boat there, and that's why they're the ones here in the games, all right, to observe and to not have that stress of additionally trying to aim and also actually move your person where you want it to be. It's amazing how much easier it is to just understand and see the game. And well, hindsight's always 2020, folks. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to our first map. I think Busan has always been one that I've really enjoyed. I know that like Mecha Base was one that I love to watch because we got to see a lot of like the Mays come out to try and block off some of those potential choke points. And, you know, with the changes to May as well, she's not quite as devilish as a lot of people have found her to be, you know, with the CC nerf across the board. It's definitely made things a little bit more playable for some of your DPS. But what I've also found recently is like, because there's so little CC now and because we have so fewer shields, there's been like a resurgence of flanking. There's been a lot of heroes that like to go on the flank, like to get into the team's back line. And now, you know, you no longer have your flex tank, so you don't have as much peel for your support. So I feel like it's really raised the ceiling quite high for a lot of these teams. You know, you have to be so vigilant. Supports have to know how to be that little bit more self-sufficient. You can't rely so much on the rest of your team. And as I say, it's that rising tide raises all boats, right? Everybody's skill has started to increase. And I think that that's made this super entertaining to watch since we've made that swap.
Well, and now Overwatch 2 has been out for long enough with everybody having access and seeing content and, you know, all of the tips and tricks videos from your favorite creators and community members that we are, in general, as a community, just better at the game. And that goes a long way. I know there's a lot of new players that have been brought on since the game has become free to play, but we're finally kind of getting over some of that newbie curve that we all just, you know, you go through it to a degree. But those pros, man, their learning curve is a lot shorter than ours is.
Oh yeah, not wrong.
I remember one time I was watching, I can't exactly remember who on a stream, and they're like, sure, let me shoot this weapon for the first time. Shoot it once. One shot just goes super wide. Okay, one calibration shot. Boom. Next time, absolutely nails the headshot right out of the gate. And I was like, huh. Oh, so that's what it means to be at their caliber. It is, it's the difference between needing 50 shots to calibrate or the one. Like,
yeah. Sorry, folks, just a quick update. So we are currently just waiting for the game to get started, waiting for the players to get ready. I promise we are not holding the start game button hostage. We do not just... contrary to popular belief, we don't just love the sound of our voices and want to prattle on forever and ever. As exciting as this is, and as much as there is to talk about, that isn't the reasoning behind this. We are just as excited as you are for these games to get started, but unfortunately we will just ask that you are a little bit patient as we wait for the teams to ready up.
Yeah, we will get into the you know, the real action and the meat and potatoes here of the gameplay soon enough. And you know, it takes a moment here for our teams to get ready. We had our own prod issues, and well, we still made it on time miraculously. Man, I'm glad you guys, I'm really grateful that Sam was able to join us. She almost didn't have any internet for a brief moment.
Y'all don't know what goes on in the background when there's like, you know, remote broadcast and you're relying on your own setup and then something goes wrong and there isn't tech support on site and it's like it's 3:00 in the morning here and I'm just like, how do I fix this? But we did it. We got here. We're alive and thank goodness for that. Absolutely,
man. And you know, and would have been tough to move on or try and cast without you. I'm glad you're able to make it back and you had a backup internet. Folks, not everyone is that prepared. I don't know if I am.
I live in South Africa. I did. You know what? When you live in a third world country, provisions need to be made. So you know how like California have been like, oh, we might have rolling blackouts. Yeah, we've had those for 15 years. So I have literally 2 car batteries behind me. So that if the power goes out, my internet and my PC and my whole setup, it keeps going. So I don't have those problems. Got 2 internets. So if one goes down, the other one is like ready to go. Like you got to have backup plans for your backup plans, folks.
Oh, man. You know, a lot of respect there. I definitely, need to get some more space if I'm gonna have that much backup plans. But
For
folks,
sure.
it looks like we're just gonna take a quick few minute break. We'll get a fix on what's going on and give you an update, and we'll be back with the game shortly. See you soon. Hey friends, and welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Challengers Cup. We are pretty much going to hop straight into the game right now, Sam. We are going to see To Be Named going up against Altiora, and we're kicking it off, of course, at a control map and at Busan.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. And just bearing in mind, this is one of 5 Altiora teams. So this is the Skywards team. Just if you weren't, sure, if you didn't know that. So keep an eye on this one and the 4 other Altiora teams. But yeah, right. and then you have 5 teams all under the Altiora banner, and then you have To Be Named. They were just like, you know what, we can't think of a name, so we're gonna go To Be Named. And then it came to the day of the tournament, and they were like, okay, we still can't think of a name. I'll just leave it like that. It's fine. And I suspect that this To Be Named team could actually make it relatively far as well. So that should
Do you
keep
mean that they
interesting.
could make a name for themselves?
Oy.
Come on, you threw that straight up underhand for me.
It is 3 o'clock in the morning. I do not have the energy for that. Please, no.
When it's easy to hit it out of the park, I'm gonna just take that nice simple swing. But of course, like we mentioned before, To Be Named, definitely not to be underestimated. They have some pretty heavy hitters on their team, and well, if you just take a look at their SR, it's got a little bit of a nasty bite to it as well, Sam.
Yeah, and I think that is maybe a little bit concerning for the Skywards team. Thankfully, it is a Swiss round, 6-round Swiss round. That is very strange to say.
Say that 3 times fast.
I'd really rather not. So there are a few opportunities to rake in some of those wins and try and claw back in. But first and foremost, they've got to get through this to-be-named roster. And, oh, there we go. We got a Kiriko.
Hey.
Yes, please. And just off the back of that, generally speaking, I would give Skywards the advantage because, of course, both teams have an Ana, but only one have the Kiriko for that cleanse, and that could be a difference maker. But, of course, the skill gap, it's going to take a lot of teamwork for Skywards to overcome that, and I really hope that they can. I do love a good underdog story.
You know, I am easily in that same boat there. I mean, who doesn't love a good under... Sorry about that, folks. Had a quick mic problem. Now I should be back up. Sam, take it away real fast. Sorry about that.
All right, I'm going to take this over. Cool. So, point has been unlocked. And so far, no eliminations just yet. The sustain from these supports has been fantastic. But Skywards have managed to make their way in. Unfortunately, do not manage to stop To Be Named for taking control. The anti-nade comes in. And it's actually a Fran that will be the first to go down. And that's taking a lot of firepower off the board here. But quickly, To Be Named start to stabilize.
Well, and that's going to be them taking this point here, starting off for the control map, right? So definitely going to be harder for Skywards to push in now that they've been defensively set up. And, well, hopefully we'll see if Leaf's Nano can turn the tables a bit.
Our time starts to tick away a little bit. Ooh, Briggsy swapping over onto these Zarya. Very good decision. D.Va into Zarya. D.Va's just going to get absolutely melted, and we saw that in the previous round as well. So, nice little swap off there. We're almost at a mirror composition, but that Kiriko is still in play.
I wonder if this speed boost here is helping To Be Named, you know, really zip around the map a lot easier and try and capitalize on anyone out of position here at Skywards. We see Briggsy taking a huge amount of damage, literally just trying to take on the entire team on the front line. There's so much damage being thrown at them, though, that it's still To Be Named holding strong on this defense.
Well, yeah, that's a little bit of an unfortunate one. Briggsy Cakes goes down so early there, despite the Ana pocket. Some really great target focusing from To Be Named. And as soon as Briggsy Cakes is off the board, there isn't really anything to help the rest of the team sustain. They've got, fairly selfish heroes as well. So, you think that might help a little bit. But I think the Lucio is helping so much for that extra little bit of sustain to Be Named.
Ooh, a nice opening shot coming through here, and we see that Momo has gone ahead and popped that rail gun over clock. There's multiple kills coming through, and both DPS yielding the results they're looking for. That's going to be a first point, 100-0, going over to Be Named.
A very strong start here for the To Be Named roster. You know, Skywards, they make some quick decisions. They realize very quickly on the D.Va's not going to work, so they swap that one off. The Kiriko stays in, and obviously it can be very helpful, but at the same time, you're not playing a particularly brawl-heavy composition. So even if that anti-nade comes out, the chances that it's going to get a lot done. I mean, if it just hits Briggsy, well, she's able to bubble herself. So not a huge need there. So I'm starting to think, well, maybe that Kiriko isn't quite the play here. The sheer amount of extra healing that To Be Named is getting, along with that speed boost that you mentioned, being able to zip around the point so much faster, definitely does feel like a bigger boon for them. And there we go. Oh, Leaf swapping over onto the Lucio here. So that Ana is taken right off the board. And of course, we got your friend Shadow Kitten on the Reaper.
I've seen Shadow Kitten on this Reaper before, and I have also suffered at the hands of the Death Blossom. So best of luck there. Looks like it's still going to be To Be Named, though, just opening up this fight decisively. They do not want to give Skywards any room to breathe, and they want to really set themselves up to be one of the powerhouses for this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, super quick control of the point here. We're actually seeing a relatively aggressive stance, trying to do a little bit of extra chip damage, block them off from getting it onto the point, get that extra little bit of ult charge, and as mentioned, of course, with Mecha Base, there's that May. Oh no, Briggsy cordoned off from the rest of her team. That is rough.
Yeah, well, regardless of all the changes that went through on the May, it is still tough when you are sectioned out like that. That is pretty much spelling out death for you. Some nice picks coming through here for Skywards as now they're getting aggressive and pushing on to the point. This is what they need to do to go ahead and take possession here. A nice seal off, but the bubble comes in clutch from Revolve. Momo's able to escape there in the nick of time. What a nice save coming through from To Be Named to continue holding possession of this point. Sam, I thought Skywards were gonna have the flip right there, but that was some clutch defensive and honestly great synergy coming from To Be Named.
Yeah, I mean, this was a great disengage, regroup with the rest of the team, and just before the time can tick over, they're able to recontest in on the point. And like I said, right, really good target focusing from To Be Named, and this again just kind of shows that skill level difference. Unfortunately, it is a factor.
Yeah, well, this is our, Swiss style of bracket, so there's going to be quite a lot of variance coming through. Momo's getting some nice shots coming up, but we can see that the Blizzard is online here. Oh, Dashi gets taken down just before they can pop it off. There's still a little bit of hope left, and Shadow Kitten going to go ahead and oh, that's probably best. Yeah, want to try and dip out of there before there's too many. Oh, but they did force a Fran to go ahead and throw the Blizzard. That's a good sign. They're trying to go back very quickly here to contest on the point, but what a stellar grab. Revolve absolutely clutching it there at the end, shutting down any chance for a touch, and well, To Be Named just took it away.
Yeah, very uncontested, it must be said. A little bit, I think, disconcerting for the Skywards team. First game of the tournament, and it was a pretty dominant first map that they really struggled to get a grip on. I will say that, so towards the end there, we were like, oh, what's happening? Pulled out the May ult, and it really felt like they were trying to stagger those spawns a little bit and just kind of keep pushing them back, make sure that they can't get in onto the point. Now the May ultimate, the Blizzard is being thrown down. You can't run that way. You got to run the other way, and this was good zoning because as soon as they run that way, Graviton Surge comes out. So this was actually really well done to just keep them off the point for as long as possible, make sure that it ticks over to that 100%. And again, like, this just shows, these are some really experienced players. They understand the game really well. They're working together quite nicely. And, well, there you go. That's going to be them taking their first map in this first to two.
Well, and that was quite the master plan as well. And having that grab online, knowing that's the only way they're going to funnel out. Oh, man, Skywards, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, or in this case, a Blizzard and a grab. So, not the funnest of poisons to choose from. There's a couple others that aren't quite as great, but as far as zoning goes, those are pretty much some big space deniers, and a really nice, clean job and clean gameplay coming through from To Be Named. And, well, I kind of hope they will maybe settle on a name by the time we get to finals. That might make talking about them a little easier. Not quite as tongue-tied.
Well, we're going to have our second map in just a little bit, but before we dive into that, we're going to take a quick break. See you guys in a few minutes.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Challengers Cup. We are about to move into our second map of our first Swiss round robin here. To be named has already taken the lead 1-0 against Altiora Skywards. And, well, they came out very, very strong on that control map, Sam. We all saw them 100% zero it, and there was some clean gameplay going on that really makes me think they're gunning for the finals here later down the road.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that's genuinely the goal for a lot of these teams. But for
Right.
some of them who are maybe in here just for that little bit of experience, or there might even be a few teams in here that are just playing for fun. And you know what? That is amazing. But as you can see, we're heading over onto our hybrid map. And with Skyward being the team that lost that first map, it means that they're going to be able to pick. And I have a little bit of insider information. I do believe that they love Scrims Row, as it is so lovingly called. So I think there's a very good chance we're going to be heading on to that one. What do you think?
I reluctantly have to agree. Personally, you know, we're all at Snooze Row. I mean Kings Row. So
Okay, hold on a second. What? No.
We're there all
Do
the
not. You gotta put
time.
some respect on Kings Row, okay? Nah, I'm not having any of this. First the bad puns, now
Oh.
you're disrespecting Kings Row.
There's so many more, new things. And as a broadcaster, personally, I'm like, okay, we always go here. We always cover this map. So, talking about these new composition strategies or, these new corners, it's not happening at this map.
Scrims Row!
But I gotta say, playing on Kings Row is a whole different boat for me. Okay, I want to be clear. Caster Sydney, nah, Kings Row is fine. Playing Sydney, yeah, let's play on Kings Row. I also want to play attack on Kings Row, just like everyone else.
I must say, it's one of those ones, I think it's near and dear to everyone's hearts. It's a map that's always going to be a big one. And I think it's just such a good map in general. Like, really, there's a lot of variety on the map from first point all the way to the last point. So you can try out a whole lot of different interesting things from point to point. I mean, I will never forget, and this was so long ago, but it's one of those things that will stick in my mind for the rest of eternity. LA Gladiators playing goats. Surefour doesn't leave the spawn. He swaps to Widowmaker while his team does around the world. He pops out and gets like a 3k. And I mean, that is just the creativity that is possible on that map, even in a meta that was as very, very one-dimensional as goats. Like, it's such a good map for that. And I'm looking forward to seeing if these two teams have anything super creative to show us.
I agree with you there. It does really facilitate some really good opportunities to shake things up and, well, to bring, some of those unsuspecting tricks to the table, especially since I feel like some people might get a little complacent on Kings Row, right? Oh, it's Kings Row. We're comfortable with it. Everybody knows it. We don't need to overthink it. And then there's that curveball you mentioned that rolls through. And honestly, I really hope we see some of that moving forward. I definitely think if Skywards has any curveball tricks, now is the time to try and use them here against To Be Named, because this may be one of their toughest matches that they have all tournament. We mentioned To Be Named might be one of the, biggest front runners here at this level and for this cup. And well, it's now or never. You got to leave it on the map.
Alrighty, so let's take a look at what we got here. Ooh, we got a Sigma. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. I think that's such a good thing to have. And of course, with the Widowmaker as well, so you can give her a little bit of a shield if you want to. It's a double sniper setup with the Zenyatta. So looks like Altiora Skyward's teammates might just be getting absolutely melted here. And again, so they do have the Zarya, so they can potentially cleanse. But of course, Discord Orb is not on a cooldown.
Yeah.
You spam that bad boy. So that would be an interesting way to potentially bait out Bubble if that was the plan. But I think all things considered, definitely going to favor the to be named roster. Oh, we might just be looking at early picks and then swap off. That's also a possibility.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like that might have been some just initial scouting here coming through. Momo's on that Sojourn who, you mentioned earlier, Sojourn is just so powerful right now all around. And the added movement plus is honestly just fantastic, especially for a DPS like that. Right now we can see those Skywards, backing off just a little bit. They don't want to get too close to be named, but we can see Shadow Kitten. There he is, sneaking up on the side. Its BB does go down, but Dashi pays for it with their life. Now we can see to be named has an opportunity here to push on forward. They've got that spawn advantage, Sam.
Oh, well, that's what I was saying about the flanking characters, and at least in my games, it's always the Reaper or it's the Cassidy. One of those two is going to be flanking, but to be named seemed to have taken back control, and oh, goodness me, it's BB absolutely popping off there with the Kiriko. Those headshots can be devastating.
Ooh, yeah. Oh my. And well, of course, there's some cleanup coming through, and honestly, that is a tough stagger there for Dashi. Skywards are going to have to just totally try and regroup, and well, hopefully they can hold here along some of this alleyway. Oh no! Sam, those are some late picks. That's heartbreaking for them.
Oh, the delayed spawn potential here. That is.
No.
Juke
him. Juke him, yeah!
I will say that there was some serious deliberateness in that aim, None of that, like, flashy, flicking headshots. There's like a, really concentrating on getting that crosshair where it needs to be and still not connecting the shot. So, well done to Sandpiper for being able to avoid that at the very least.
Yes, some bob and weave, all right? Sometimes that's all I have in my tank, and honestly, you guys need to be watching out, bobbing and weaving. Momo pops the overclock, and we've seen how deadly they are with this railgun. It's not the first time they've had a lot of value off of that ultimate, and Sam, this is tough for Skywards. They are just being corralled backwards. The point still not quite at the second checkpoint yet, so they could try and regroup here to hold just before.
At least now, obviously you have a much closer spawn, so you have the possibility to, lock it down a little bit. But oh no, the flanking Widowmaker. No one expects the flanking Widowmaker. Is she gonna make it up with
spotted.
Her life?
This might be, there's a nice push back there coming through. It's, a little lackluster still. It's tough. To be named got this cap.
But this is the thing. So you've got the Widowmaker in the back line, basically creating a distraction. The entirety of Altiora turns around to deal with the Widow, and no one's watching the front line. It should not have worked that well.
That is tough. We see Kitsune's rush thrown straight into the amplification matrix. Here is the gravitic flux, and well, still finding a couple of people. To be named are unstoppable right now, and it is going to be even tougher for Skywards to exit spawn because to be named is ready and already firing at them.
Oh, now they have to come in for the test. There's so time for it.
There's the grab here, and well, Skyward's trying to make some hero plays. There's 4:13 on the clock, and well, that's a nice sleep coming through. Big Briggsy does go ahead, wakes backs up just in time, and well, now it is a crazy fight here on this point. You see the sound barrier cast just towards the end, but only a couple people on Skyward's managed to survive, with only Sandpiper left here trying to keep this point alive. It's going to be a third point capped for to be named.
Oh, that is very, very rough. Our Skyward friends, of course, we figured that it was going to be relatively one, but it's looking so dominant than I think even we had expected coming into this. A very, very strong push on this first half of this map, and now there's not a lot of time here that can be made up. I mean, Skyward are going to have to make a massive push kind of to the same caliber, because if they get to third point but with very little time left, it's very likely that, you know, that's it. And that's assuming they even get to third point. So there's a massive uphill task ahead of them.
That is, and you know, I want to give some additional credit here to, you know, to be named. Obviously, based off their name, they have not really been a, you know, an actual squad of 5 for too long, and the fact that they're playing this well, Sam, really speaks to their synergy. And I mean, I personally think that is incredible due to such a short amount of time. And well, this is still Overwatch 2. You know, there hasn't been quite as long for them to get to be a team to a team of 5 for this long.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers in.
Basically formed for this tournament, and so the synergistic level isn't going to be quite where it could be. But of course, with this being the start of something, I look forward to seeing, you know, how these teams progress over time.
Ooh, Shadow Kitten getting chipped a little bit up high, but still looking for the kills on that Widow Maker. Trying to move around, create some additional pressure, and take some new angles through. Nice anti-nade is going to force Skywards here to just take a quick breather. And, well, there are the picks. To be named decides to just go ahead and get aggressive. As soon as that anti-nade went through from Ashen, it seemed like To be named just dove right in and cut them all down.
Yeah, unsurprising, I think. I do find the Doomfist pick really interesting. I think for me personally, when it was like, oh, Doomfist is now a tank, I had so many questions, but he's still such a strong hero despite the changes to him.
Oh, the hack there from Shadow Kitten was a good opportunity, but Momo's sharpshooting has been an absolute force to be reckoned with this match. They have been constantly hitting those shots, and, well, there are still more damage to be done. To be named continuing to push Skywards back into their spawn, and, well, now there's 2:33 left on the clock, Sam, and, well, hopefully Skywards are going to get some ults and get some traction.
Yeah, you know, with and there's another swap onto the Pharah, so that's the second time that we're having a swap there. Obviously, the Mercy coming out as well to support. I like the idea of the Sombra, but the Sombra just wasn't getting it done. So now you go for that aerial support, and there's some good damage coming through.
That's some nasty amount of damage, and a good boop away. Oh, there's still the res. It was just a hair too soon. Nice plays coming through here from It's BB on the juke status, baiting out that little concussion blast. Still, we can see Skywards trying to continue pushing this point, and, well, To be named has to spend ultimates to hold on to this defense.
I don't know, things just starting to look so dire here. It was such a good start to this attack as well, or that particular round of attack, because they managed to get that Doom off the board. They do a lot of damage with that Pharah. Shadow's even built up Rocket Barrage as well, so has done so much work. But that target focus that we spoke about, that To be named had been so good at, it feels like Skyward's really struggling with that, really struggling to systematically get through the To be named players.
Yeah, and on that front, you know, you can see Femboy has their ultimate as well online. That's probably due to how much damage is being thrown from Shadow Kitten, but it's not going to be enough. There's still so much damage coming through from a Fran on this Genji. The Skywards here pretty much getting on their last fight territory, but they're going to have 6 ultimates to throw at it.
Oh, is it going to be enough, though? I mean, that's if they win this fight, that's one fight, and with so little time left to make it happen already, Revolve getting so much value with the slam. Let's see if they can keep that point. Ooh, oh, look at that. That's a ton of damage.
That sealed the deal there for Skywards. All right, everyone's boosted up with the sound barrier. The aggression paid off. They took out both supports from To be named right away, one after another, and they still managed to retain 2 ultimates after all of that. So I gotta say, I am excited to see Skywards really coming together a bit.
Yeah, I think the fact that they managed to hold on to 2 of those ults was really impressive for me. Very often you'll see teams kind of, everybody panic, slams the Q button. And thankfully this time around that didn't happen, so they do have a little bit to go into this next fight. But to be named, taking a very aggressive stance, not willing to give up the fight just yet.
We see this overclock here is online, but Briggsy is taken down early. Oh, just kidding. Brought back into the fight quite quickly, but the damage has been done. To be named, taking out 2 more people during the res time. And well, that's going to be Skyward's going back to spawn and hopefully regrouping here once more. They've still got overclock available.
Oh, only about a minute and a half. Once they finally do manage to regroup, the Valkyrie, as you said, taken off the board very, very early on, and they're already diving straight back in, and immediately Shadow Kitten's taken down. The Pharah into the Sojourn is just not the play.
I mean, look, folks, it is tough. It doesn't matter what character you're playing. With the way Momo is hitting their railgun shots, especially during that overclock, you pretty much don't have any chance unless you're a tank. I don't know how to, there's no way to help them on that front. They're just absolutely insane. And well, there's a couple of picks early here. Revolt is brought back into the fight, but its BB suffers as a result. And that is actually a huge opportunity here for Skywards to take a lot of space. Getting out of this alleyway is exactly what they need to really shift the momentum in their favor, Sam.
At least they're finally starting to get a little bit of push on this payload, but they're going to have to stick to it like glue. Still 50 meters to get to that checkpoint with under 40 seconds to get there, and to be named now regrouping with 3 ultimates available, and there's nothing for Skyward to use to deal with any of them.
It's going to be tough. That To Be Named also has the Nano Blade online as well. So trying to take any of them out before it's available. Well, he just slices straight into the air. Oh my gosh. Shadow Kitten, he was literally flying as he dashed up to you. And well, as a result, once again, the Nano Blade just cuts through everybody. Folks, we've seen that rinsed and repeat many times before, but all in all, a really nice job here. No one can touch, and To Be Named gonna go ahead and take King's Row and take the series.
Yeah, I was really worried about that final engagement. Obviously, they didn't have that sound barrier available just yet, and so there was really nothing to help deal with the Nano Blade when it came through. And you know, credit to Be Named doing a very good job of patience with their ultimates, not just kind of throwing them out, panic ulting, really considering every single ultimate, every single ability, and making sure that they had control and that if they did use something, it was going to get the full effect. This is clearly a team that, as we've said a couple of times, are looking to the top. They want to make it all the way, and based on what we've seen here, they might just have what it takes.
You know, I definitely will have my eye on them through the remainder of the tournament and how they proceed through the bracket. I think taking a look at who their upcoming opponents are will really give us some more insight as to the consistency of this team as well. It's round robin, so, you know, I would love to jump to some fun, positive conclusions, but the skeptic in me says, you know, let's collect a couple more data points. Especially, you know, since we have a wide range of teams who signed up, right? Who knows what other compositions will be brought to the table? And, well, we're still early in the competition. There's plenty of time for an underdog to surprise us all.
Yep, and we are busy prepping for a winner's interview, so we're going to bring that to you folks in just a couple of minutes. But while we prep for that, I just want to just kind of revisit how excited I am about some of these teams. I mean, even Skywards, right? They showed a lot of potential. As much as they came up against a team who were definitely a lot stronger, I think that, you know, each of the individual players have a lot of strengths and have a lot of potential. So I really want to see, you know, what makes this tournament tournament's so important is that, you know, all of these players have the opportunity to play against people who are better than them, to play against people who are still, you know, a little bit less experienced than they are as well. So you get a wide variety of practice, a wide variety of exposure, and that can only help them skill up. So for Skywards, you know, with this being the first qualifier, they'll have their round robin stage, and then, you know, if they don't make it in this one, well, they can come back for the second one, and they're that much smarter, they're that much more experienced, and potentially having, you know, increased their skill between now and then as well. Yeah, we've seen it in other esports as well, where like the skill gap starts to really shrink the more these players have exposure to these kinds of tournaments. So it's really, really exciting.
I agree with you there. And especially as these players will, you know, continue to play against each other and see each other in the scene routinely, you get a little more familiar with some habits on who likes to overstep and be aggressive, or, you know, who might just stick around for that one extra bullet too long for you to get the punch in. But I want to also call out that, you know, Skyward, although, you know, they did lose 2-0, they still had some very, very solid Overwatch, right? It wasn't this, you know, long, constant trickle of people coming through, or a, you know, 2.5 minute play-by-play casting fight comes on. Skyward did a solid job at knowing those conditions and honestly executing win condition strategies, right? We saw them come through with the end with their ultimates on King's Row and continue to push forward when they saw they had those advantages. And, you know, that really shows that the quality of their gameplay is still serious, it's competitive, and they're not just kind of like, you know, wishy-washy and around. There's a lot to be said for a team who is still showing strong fundamentals regardless of how the games are unfolding or being played.
Okay, and yeah, go ahead.
No, take it away, Sam. Sorry.
So I gotta say, it looks like our interview is ready, so we can bring on one of those players from our winning team and have a little bit of a chat with him. So wow, congratulations on the win. It's the first game of this tournament. It's BB. How are you feeling after that very, very first game?
Oh, we're feeling super great.
Well, that is awesome. And what's kind of how are you guys feeling going into this tournament? You know, as a team, as a unit, what's kind of your guys' like mentality or current mindset?
Well, you know, I'm all about positivity, and I think all of my teammates are really upbeat and positive. So we're just trying to keep that going, keep good mental, have fun.
Yeah. Well, a good mental can take you a very, very long way in a competition like this. Do you guys have any thoughts about, you know, like the finals or what you have your eye on position-wise, or just trying to keep it fluid? What you got going on?
I mean, ideally we would like to win, but I think we'll be happy with wherever we place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously the very first qualifier, so there is a little bit of more opportunity down the road should it not quite go the way that you maybe thought it might or were hoping that it might. But if you've had a look at maybe some of the other teams that are playing or some of the other players that are involved, has there been anyone that kind of caught your eye that you thought, they might be a little bit of trouble for us down the line?
I did take a glance. I think everybody is going to be super fun to play against, and I'm really just here to have fun, and I hope the other teams are too.
Aw, love that.
Well, I definitely know everyone's here to at least have fun. Some people have a competitive edge like myself that isn't always the most healthy. But it's people like you, it's BB, that keeps us reeled and dialed in, right? Keeps our mental state positive. And, you know, I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to seeing how you guys are going to progress through the tournament. Do you have any, you know, advice for maybe other people in the tournament who this might be their first time in this type of competition or environment? Any thoughts?
Well, we're gonna bring it back to the mental. I think it's a lot about keeping it positive, even when, you may be losing. And it's all about rallying your team together. And I think if your team is really focused and having a good time, then I think it will reflect in your gameplay.
Oh yeah. Well, last one from me. Do you have any kind of shout outs that you'd like to give? Obviously, this might be one of your first times on one of these official streams. So is there anyone that you'd like to really just say thank you, or you're awesome, or, anything you'd like to say, or maybe a little bit of trash talk, anything you want to just shout out to the stream?
Fan the flame.
Well, I'm not much of a trash talker, but I'd like to shout out, the whole tournament staff. They were really great about putting everything together, and my team. We're kind of a bunch of free agents that were mashed together last minute, and we're vibing really well and just having a great time. And shout out to all of the other teams competing, and I hope they have a great time.
Hell yeah.
Well, that is honestly, it's some refreshing sportsmanship to go around. And it's BB, congratulations on your win again. Thank you so much for joining us in the interview booth. Maybe we'll see you again in the interview booth, or one of your teammates as well. But best of luck to you in the future for this tournament.
Thank you.
All right, folks, so we are going to be moving along. We have a couple more rounds of our round robin coming up next. We will be seeing our round 2, right? So we're going to see Team Toki go up against DU Pioneers. Once again, it'll be our first to 2, and we'll have to see how it all unfolds, folks. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back soon. friends and family, and welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Challengers Cup. Now, I had it wrong when we signed off during the last break. We're actually going to be seeing number 1 on Overbuff go up against Team Mochi for our second match of the day. And Sam, this one's going to be a humdinger, and it's also their first round of the round robin, so no pre-established scores yet to reference. Clean slate going in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about this matchup in particular, just because these are two of the teams that we had mentioned coming into this tournament, you know, at the start of the broadcast, because they were part of the Empowerment Cup that we had at the beginning of the year, and they both came third, fourth. So, you know, they were two teams that had really gotten to kind of the higher echelon of that tournament, really distinguished themselves from a lot of the other teams, and played very, very well. So, really, I don't think they actually had the opportunity to play each other, at the very least, not in the playoff stage. So this will be a really cool opportunity to see, you know, how do they stack up against one another.
Totally. And, you know, the fact that they may not have played against each other, but we're in the same tournament, and, you know, you do your best to see the competition, but this could really be the opportunity for them to kind of set themselves apart from anyone else in this tournament. Both of these teams are very high ranking, and Sam, I think they could be gunning for some of our finals positions. Some of these teammates here on Overbuff, we have Turing over here, and Cool Guy, Maniac here, and sorry about that, excuse me, Safrona and Prismatine. Really excited to see what they bring to the table, and you know, some of them have been on some collegiate esports teams, so definitely don't want to count out that experience and the cool-headedness that comes from some of those high-stress situations.
Yeah, I mean, something that I'm really interested to see. I see Safrona there likes to play the Brig, and I'll be very curious to see if that Brig actually does come out. Obviously, a little bit more difficult these days to get the full value out of her, particularly depending on what tank you're pairing her with, and obviously, you know, things like her shield bash no longer stuns, so you've got that little bit of a change coming out as well. So she's not quite that. She's still impactful, don't get me wrong, but very much not to the same degree that she was previously. So I'd be curious to see if that does come out. I do see that Turing also liking the Diva, and as we mentioned previously, an absolute assassin. Ooh, words are hard, people. We could see some Diva v Diva action, as Ruby also seems to enjoy the Diva. I'll be curious to see how that kind of stacks up.
Yeah, well, actually, Mochi is a team that we have seen. We saw them at the Empowerment Cup. They've been around actually quite a handful of other tournaments outside of the Empowerment Cup as well. And, well, Ruby in particular also plays for EGF for CU Boulder, or she did. I'm not sure if she's graduated at this point. We got Hammy and Sunshine also in the lineup. And then, of course, on the support side, we've got Jam over there, and Aramori. Sorry, working on that one there. And I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to seeing Mochi play once again. Ruby is, get ready for your ultimates to be eaten, because she will be there with the defense matrix. And, you know, if I recall reading her Twitter correctly, I think she also did a stint as an intern for Blizzard recently. So, you know, really getting in the community and, well, making an impact in the game that we love.
Well, I'm quite excited to see how these two teams match up. As we said, this should be a far more evenly matched game than what we had in our very first game. And very often that is kind of the nature of these open tournaments, because it tends to be somewhat randomized. You'll very often find these like really, really high ranking teams against some teams that are still, you know, a little bit newer and still kind of finding their footing a little bit here. But now we have two very high ranked teams, two teams that we know can perform to a really good level. We've seen them compete a few months ago, so it has been a few months, and of course that was on good old Overwatch 1. Now we roll on in on Overwatch 2. Some changes have come forward, and let's see how well they've adapted to that. I am loving the fact that Maniac's going to be rolling out on the Sombra. I think the Sombra is incredibly powerful, but I'm a little bit worried because Ruby is on that Diva, but Turing is on the Zarya, and Ruby's going to have a really, really tough time dealing with all of that damage.
I agree with you there, and well, it's going to be about trying to make sure they're not getting too much value or throwing too much damage into the bubble. A nice opening hack there by Maniac is going to make sure that Overbuff gets control of that health pack, and as a result has control of that side of the map. They're going to have some nice additional heals available to really keep themselves topped off, and well, it looks like they're getting even more health packs to continue covering this area of the map. It's going to be tough for Mochi to try and push on through, but there's the pick off onto Maniac. Don't know how that happened when you could have been cloaked, but Mochi still continuing to try and push on through. Prismatine goes down as a result. There's the D-Mech there on Ruby, but there's a few exchanges back and forth. Mochi still has possession of this point, and with this kill here on the end, they're going to take down Turning and take down his charge.
Now,
Her charge.
I think that this was a great adaptation for Mochi. They know that the Sombra has now hacked that health pack, so they need to pull away. They need to allow Overbuff to kind of walk into them a little bit. Sunshine, well, she throws out some of that bit of ability there, a few shots in the dark, and manages to spot out the cloaked Sombra. And that's massive because gets that pick off. That means that there is no more hackability. And the fact that Ruby's able to survive so long versus a Zarya is really, really impressive.
Ooh, there we go. Some more damage trying to be put here through from Turning, and well, it's going to be Prismatine getting the actual first kill here in the feed. Cool Guy goes down in the mix of everything, and well, Mochi is still holding strong on this point. They know that it's going to take more than that to kick them off, and well, Overbuff's going to have to be a bit more concise in their team fighting if they're going to take possession.
It feels like Overbuff really need a bit more of that target focus that we spoke about a little bit earlier on. Ruby is getting way too much value on this Diva. She's surviving for so long, and Turing just not able to do the damage necessary to get her out of mech and get that Matrix off the field, because that Matrix can be incredibly powerful. So needs to be a little bit more help for Turing there to get that done.
Overclock here popped by. Cool Guy trying to find the damage, and takes down Ruby just as she's thrown her self-destruct over the edge. No remech on the table, and this is exactly what Overbuff wanted, to go ahead and take this point. Mochi managed to stall out long enough to get them to 99%, which is actually really nice. They're in last fight potential, but Sam, it's going to be tough pushing into Overbuff.
Well, yeah, there's 3 ultimates available for you, for Overbuff, and if Maniac can get into a nice little position to drop that EMP, that could shut things down in their wake, possibly even shut down some of these ultimates. But keep in mind, Mochi still has a lot to work with here as well. Found and had to go ahead and pop that EMP really, really quick as a result.
There's the blade caught in the grab. You're going nowhere, my friend Hammy, and as a result has to back off, is eventually taken down. A really nice response here from Overbuff to the aggression of Mochi, but it didn't matter. Mochi managed to just go ahead and clean him up, and that's going to be the first round over.
Yeah, I think that the Graviton Surge was great to try and just zone out the Genji as much as possible, but with that EMP coming through as well, you start to think, geez, EMP, Graviton Surge, there's so much there to maintain control. But obviously with Ruby having swapped over onto the Zarya, they had quite a little bit of help there in the form of her bubbles to just keep mitigating a little bit of that damage, keep them alive that little bit longer, and she took the 1v1 against Turing, and well, she came out on top as the better Zarya in that fight, and they're able to do that little bit of cleanup. But of course, that's a little bit of an unfortunate one, but It was a lot closer than than what we saw in our previous match. So now we head on onto the second point. See if Mochi can make some much needed changes here to regain some control.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough ask, though. Here we almost spotted out. I thought Maniac was going to get caught right there, but just goes ahead, decides to give him, go up and give him a little high five real fast. Still spotted out regardless, but we see Overbuff here starting to post up on this high ground. They're slowly trying to whittle down Mochi, but it looks like it's going to be Maniac who is caught out and taken down first. You can see that there in the feed, and well, Sunshine holding no prisoners and not holding back at all, continuing to just aggress forward here onto Overbuff. That's a clean first take.
Sunshine has been so good on this Sojourn, just constantly being kind of a thorn in Overbuff's side, and happy to see Turing swapping off of that D.Va onto a Zarya of her own to be able to bring that fight a little bit better, because as we mentioned, the D.Va does really struggle to deal with a Zarya. But look at this aggressive hold from Mochi. They don't want to allow Overbuff anywhere near that point.
And I don't blame them with Turing on this Zarya as well. You don't want them to get too charged up, taken down early in this fight. And Sam, now that there's only one tank available, it's so much more critical when they're taken out this early. And well, Mochi here gonna go ahead and just keep holding.
There were a few picks there for Overbuff as well, and you start to think, well, maybe, but too little too late, unfortunately. Even when you have made a few picks, you have to realize when to back out and regroup. They've done that, so they might just get to this point a little bit faster than Mochi, might just be able to put up a bit of a fight here.
Oh man, 2 exchanges already out of the gate, and Cool Guy is relentless here. We can see this overclock putting in a lot of damage, but Mochi still has to get pushed off completely. They have a bit of possession here, and they commit the amp matrix? That was a bit ambitious, and well, it looks like it's gonna pay off. They continue to hold down the fort.
And again, man, I keep bringing this up, but that target focus, target prioritization, you know, Mochi lose quite a few players in that engagement, but they're able to, because obviously it goes pretty back and forth, but it's Mochi who are able to stabilize and start focusing in, get those all-important picks off.
Oh, and the kill there. 2 kills from the Dragon Blade. Hammy is popping off as that Genji, but gets hacked up here at the end. It's going to be a little too late, though, as Mochi continues to pop off. Sunshine throws a bunch of shots in that overclock, and, well, Sam, that's going to be Mochi taking this first round.
Wow, I think we both really expected this to be a lot closer. We know that these two teams are a lot more comparable in terms of their, experience, and yet somehow Mochi made it look so easy. Okay, that the first point was a little bit more closely contested, but we head over to Lighthouse and suddenly it's like a completely different ball game. And I think that, you know, number one on Overbuff, they're going to be starting to get a little bit nervous here. They've lost that first map. Now they're going to be heading over onto the second, and obviously that's going to be their own map choice. So they're going to have to be very, very careful and deliberate about which map they choose here.
I agree with you there, especially going up against a team like Mochi, right? There's it depends, right? Do you think that you're better at a map you're both comfortable at, or can you catch them off balance? Maybe try a new map in the mix of the pool here. If I was Mochi, I might take this just a tad personal, naming your team 100 or number 1 on Overbuff. They are actually the number 1 ranked team as far as SR goes into this tournament, and Mochi's chasing them at number 2. And if I was Mochi, I'd be like, well, those numbers aren't everything. It's there's a lot more to it than just what those statistics prettily show you. And they really are showing us what it means to be a team that honestly has that long time experience together. Regardless of losing those couple of players, they're still focusing targets and they're still winning fights. So, gotta say that's always really refreshing. And I'm really looking forward to see what comes up for our next map. We'll be moving on to our hybrid, folks. So don't go anywhere. We'll see what's picked and get into the action. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Challengers Cup. It looks like we got Sam just frozen over here for just a moment, folks, but I know she is on her way and will be returning shortly. We are moving into our second map here, our hybrid map after Control, and well, we're still waiting on the teams to see which one, particularly number one on Overbuff, chooses for their next map. We've talked about King's Row earlier. Personally, I am hoping for some Parisio, but you know, a girl can dream. The Tower of Eichenwald is always a fun time, but like I said, it's still up to the losers to really decide where they want to try and take Mochi on for this next round. Mochi had a really strong performance, and you know, we've praised both of these teams, but Mochi in particular has been together for quite an extensive amount of time, and I do think some of that synergy is really critical to how well they're playing. And honestly, that is exactly why your SR ranking really doesn't matter at the end of the day. This is a team sport, and well, if you can't synergize with your team, you should probably pick a different game.
What?
Welcome back. Sorry, Sam. I was talking about teamwork and how important it is. And if you're not here to be a team player, that's Overwatch isn't the game for you, especially
like,
you know,
the way that was worded. I was like, if you can't work as a team, leave. And like, I had these like IT crowd flashbacks for anybody that's old enough to remember the IT crowd. Like, I mean, you don't necessarily have to like quit. Just, you know, get your ego in check and you know, work together. But I was hearing what you were saying. You're 100% right. Like, SR at a certain level becomes merely an indication, right? So let's say, for example, you've got like a 4K team versus a 2.5 or a 3K team. Sure, that's going to make a big difference. But if you've got like 4.5K versus 4.8, 4.9, it becomes far less of an indicator, so much as something like, you know, how long you've been together, how well your team is synergizing together, how well you understand each other. Like, that becomes so much more important at that level. And that's clearly what Mochi are leaning into here, that understanding of one another and how well they play together, and I'm loving to watch it.
Man, that was some beautiful nutshelling, Sam. Welcome back. Thanks.
You're welcome. My work here is done.
But I do hope we continue to see Maniac here on the Sombra. You know, we shouldn't overtalk about the offense. There's still plenty of time to change up what they want to take as far as their approach. But with Ruby on the Zarya, that could be, you know, quite a different change of pace pushing into Turing here on the Diva.
You say interesting change of pace. I think we've seen that on both maps. One or the other goes Diva when the other one is Zarya, and they're instantly forced to have to swap off. And we'll see if Turing does do that. Has she? Okay, now she knows for 100% sure there is a Zarya there, but looks like she might just opt to try and take that fight anyways. Cool guy, no shot.
Wow.
Just absolutely bullying them. Look at this. What's happened? What am I watching?
The pocket
Hey, yo,
here.
they have families.
That, I mean, okay, Mochi was not ready for the pharmacy to roll through. I'm sorry, Overbuff was not ready for the. No, I had it right. Oh my gosh, I'm not ready for that. Jeez.
We were definitely not ready for that. Our brains just could not comprehend that level of bullying. Already at 72% ult charge. Cool guy was just like, no, that's my ult charge. Sunshine swapping over onto the Cassidy. You know why that's happened.
Yeah, that is a direct response to Cool Guy's honestly just absolutely decimating performance right there. We see the barrage is online, and well, there's no CC here in Overwatch 2, so it's going to be all about melting him down as fast as he can, or just enduring, if that's even a thing. So far, Mochi, though, doing a great job at trying to just hold this corner. Of course, Ruby is there with the defense matrix to just eat up as much of that barrage as possible. That's how you endure.
I mean, honestly, that is the El Clasico. Justice reigns every time. Like, that...
Can I get a repeat of that sound effect?
No, absolutely not. Pharah and not finishing her ult line, name a more iconic duo, particularly when you've got Sunshine, who was killing it on the Sojourn, now on the Cassidy, and just, again, tearing it up. Those last few kills of that round, that was just bam, 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 living up to the bam moniker.
Okay, couple of picks back and forth, but we've seen Mochi continue to try and hold this defensive line. A nice Ant Matrix does come through, but it is still going to be Overbuff continuing to push this cart.
I mean, Overbuff definitely looking better than they did on that first map, I'll tell you what. And some teams definitely do have a better stance on a particular map than they do on other maps. So definitely starting to see why it is they opted to go to Scrims Row. Again, that El Clasico favorite of so many teams. And now look at Maniac on the flank, looking to get that massive, tasty 5-player EMP.
Wait for it. There, 5 for 5, and Sunshine has gone ahead and set there on the horizon. Mochi is falling one after another, and as a result, Overbuff just going to continue to keep on rolling this cart. Sam, this is exactly the shift in mindset and honestly in gameplay style we needed to see from them and that we expected during our first map.
Yeah, definitely. Like, we really thought that this was going to be so much closer between these two teams. Now we're actually starting to see that come into fruition as some serious offensive capability from Overbuff, and Mochi struggling to deal, but now they do have some big ultimates to play with here. That blade could be massive. No nano to complement it, but if aimed right, it could be just as dangerous. Oh no. The grab.
You know, I honestly don't blame you. The last thing I want is the blade, and I am happy to see a grab shutting that down. That dash reset is absolutely oppressive once those Genjis get on a roll, and, well, Overbuff has all of the momentum here on King's Row, and I don't know if Mochi's going to be able to stall before this third point.
And they've got no ultimates to help either. They burned everything in that last fight and still lost it. Aramori swapping onto the Moira. They need that extra little bit of healing, but is it going to be enough?
Oh, Hammy deleted right there by the railgun shot, and now Cool Guy can just free fire from the high ground. Nobody's going to be able to really put pressure on him or on her as she continues to just really take people down one after another. Overbuff knows there are plenty of kills to go around. Mochi's just trying to trickle onto the point, and well, Ruby's the last hope here. Just a little bit more time taken off the clock. Overbuff taking all 3 points with a hearty 3:20 on the clock.
I think in the previous match it was a 3:45, so not quite as dominant, but when you consider what we saw on our first map between these two teams, this resurgence from Overbuff has been awesome. I wasn't expecting such a dominant push, and honestly, a lot of that is off the back of Cool Guy going absolutely mental at the start, being able to get so many kills on that Pharah and, you know, ensuring that the point does get captured. And yeah, okay, Sunshine comes back on the Cassidy, does a ton of damage, takes the Pharah out of the sky and the Mercy to boot, but then the continued rollover effect, Overbuff's momentum was just unstoppable, and this is so much stronger than what we saw previously. Now Mochi have a really tough task ahead of them. They have to somehow replicate that, because sure, they can get all the way to 3 points, you know, in a shorter amount of time, but given how dominant that first half was, do you really want to risk it?
And, you know, I want to call out the fact that the initial control maps are a very different gameplay style. You talked about how some of the maps, like other teams, are more comfortable on those types of styles of maps in general. And control is easily the outlier of all of the modes. You know, once we get into the thick of it here, it's definitely more up in the air. And you can see this comfort. You can see why everyone comes to King's Row.
Sunshine looking to maybe get an early pick off there. Just gets a little bit of the information and back onto the Sojourn that she's been so good at up until this point. See if it can net the same fantastic results as Maniac's still on that Sombra, and that Sombra was very, very potent in the previous half. We can already see her in the backline there, but does get spotted out, and that's a great opportunity for Mochi to push in.
That's so much aggression. Sunshine goes ahead and takes down Turing, though, as a result. That is an early pick there for Mochi, and with the spawn advantage in their favor, they're going to be feeling really confident continuing to cap this point.
That's interesting. One pick and Overbuff just give up the point entirely. And I mean, I'm sure they realized it was probably a lost cause no matter what, but to give so much space over to Mochi, that's a bold choice. And this is a team that's not gonna let you get away with something like that, right? You give them an inch and they're going to push as far as they possibly can.
That was a nice spot out there by Hammy, preventing Maniac from hacking that health pack there for this fight. Probably just a matter of time before they do, but, you know, still doing a lot of initial help there. Mochi still pushing forward as the cart's slowly rolling through, and you can see there is the oh my gosh, it doesn't matter because that anti-nade coming through was absolutely massive. Ooh. Mochi goes ahead, just pushes on through it. Overbuff couldn't capitalize. That was surprising.
Yeah, I mean, the nade comes through and it's absolutely massive, but Prismatine dies shortly thereafter, and Mochi do a really good job of stabilizing. You know, we spoke about it, right? Having the Zarya, having the double barrier, it really can be a difference maker. Keeps the team alive that little bit longer. You know, Jam probably amps it up, keeps that healing going, and they manage to sustain through.
A little bit of chip damage coming through there from Hammy, but it's going to be tough. Turing has so much charge on that Zarya. Well, so does Ruby. Two can play at that game. They have lost Hammy in this fight here, and there's the grab. Both grabs being thrown. Everyone's staying still. Unfortunately, though, Ruby didn't have all her teammates there. Couldn't quite mow him through, and, well, Overbuff going to be holding strong on this second checkpoint.
For a second there, I thought that Ruby was like a flanking Zarya, and then I realized, no, like Overbuff had just pushed so far that it looked like Mochi had somehow wound up on the wrong side of the map. No,
right.
Just like I said, right, you can't just give up space. And all right, Mochi, they still managed to sustain for quite a little bit longer. But, oh, Sunshine caught on the flank.
Oh man, and you know, Overbuff has really identified the threat that Sunshine brings to the table. There's still an exchange back and forth, so it could be anyone's fight. We have seen this turn on the blink of an eye, and with Death Blossom online, it gets shut down. Too predictable there in the middle of Overbuff, and as a result, it's gonna be Mochi coming back from spawn.
Oh, goodness me, Mochi, they had a really, really good push, a really good start, and Overbuff with their, I don't know, they've just, I mean, they don't even have like a ridiculously close spawn, but they've just done really well at cycling through and at maintaining control and maintaining sustain. They're building up those ultimates. Maniac almost has the Death Blossom online, and that could be huge. And Prismatine's going to have the Nano soon, so looking forward to seeing what combos with that. For Mochi, it's really just the Matrix from Batiste, and it's so difficult to get full value out of that, particularly with their comp that they're running. Maybe if he plonks it down in front of Sunshine?
Okay, an interesting decision there to go ahead and kick or pop the Ant Matrix there, but still fighting it out here in this small room. To be honest, I would love to see both teams go ahead and reset. That's 2 picks from Sunshine. This could be, you know, a bit of an opportunity for them to just regroup. Bring everyone together. There we go.
I definitely have some questions on that engagement. So, I mean, clearly Mochi do get the value out of the Ant Matrix, but it was really in an odd place. And then the, Death Blossom came out as well, and it was also in a really tight spot there. And now again, like, this instant re-engage without any time to relax, and somehow it's Overbuff that come out on top of that. And that kerfuffle, the 2 Zaryas right in each other's faces, bubbles back and forth, trying to keep their teammates alive, and somehow they stop Mochi from capping point. I mean, this has just been so hotly contested.
I don't know what happened to Overbuff, but after that first map, something in their brain said, recalculating. And this
Apparently
team is...
GPS.
Right. You have taken an alternate route. And this one's leading to a lot more success. Overbuff here, we see Safrona has the sound barrier ready once again to receive Mochi. And, well, with Hammy already off the board, that's a horde of damage unavailable for Mochi to even engage on. A nice kill there onto Turing is going to go ahead and reset the amount of power and charge they have. That could be an opportunity for Ruby to get ahead a little bit in that game. A sound barrier committed here by Overbuff. That means they're getting aggressive. There are no survivors to be left, and, well, they don't want Mochi to take any more space.
Holy heck, that got really stressful. See Mochi try and take a little bit of that space there, but Ruby pushed up so far forward, not a lot of support from her team, and unfortunately she gets taken down. But now they have regrouped, 10 seconds left to try and get this cart moving. They have to take some space. They've got the coalescence available, but that's just about it. That will get popped. Can they make it work?
Oh, this is a tough fight here. You can see Cool Guy just trying to fend everyone from Mochi off with that overclock. There's a lot of damage on the table, and Overbuff wants to stop Mochi here. There's the grab being thrown, but there's a couple of kills back and forth. We've seen Mochi turn it around, but Overbuff wants to end it right there with their own grab, trying to take down the supports, and there they go. There's less and less sustain by the moment here for Mochi as the overtime bar has been triggered. There it is, another kill on the board, and honestly, when all hope was lost, second checkpoint capped.
Oh, a little close for comfort there, but only 1:20 to get this cart to that 3rd point. Overbuff now have the massive spawn advantage, and on top of that, they have a time advantage as well. Mochi have a huge uphill battle ahead of them, and Overbuff, look at this. I mean, they're close to another Death Blossom again. Safrona should be able to build up that sound barrier relatively quickly as well. But that's a good early pick-off. Dang, they press the advantage.
Is this the momentum that Mochi needs to go ahead and just push on through to the 3rd point? They're already at a significant time deficiency, Sam.
So little time to play with here. They do have a little bit of an advantage here. Okay, Cool Guy pulling out the Widowmaker. Gonna try and get a couple of picks off. Nope, doesn't manage to get anything done there. So the Gengu has come out to play.
Oh man, I am honestly dreading this Death Blossom.
There
There
it
it is. And it takes down
Oh.
Jam. Absolutely critical for Mochi. The sound barrier was online for that fight, and now we're at 17 seconds left. There's going to be maybe a half engage here if Mochi can clutch it out. Ruby's trying to make hero plays happen with the kill onto her counterpart. There's still a bit of hope online. We see Grav is available, and there's some charge on. Look at Ruby, 100% charge right here. She is trying to literally make it here for Mochi at the end. There's the Grav
Nice.
continuing to zone members of Overbuff back. You cannot let them continue to contest this cart. Taking on Turing now, just at the end of it, takes her down before she can get her own Grav. That is a huge coming through from Mochi, and regardless of overtime, they push it all 3 points.
Honestly, that was one of those massive Hail Mary attempts, and somehow able to push all the way through to the end. The Zarya 100% charge spawn Grav is strong, and they managed to buy just enough time to roll that cart all the way to third point. But as mentioned, they have a huge disadvantage here. Overbuff, I don't know if Mochi are going to be able to stem the tide here. I think that we are looking at a potential third map, if I'm going to be honest with everybody here today. I think that Mochi have a huge task ahead of them, and just what they are going to be able to bring to the table, I'm not sure that it's going to be enough. I don't think, you know, given how the last round went, it just feels like they've kind of hit a bit of a wobble since the first map.
Well, we mentioned Control is a very different style of gameplay, so they might be more comfortable on that. Or the, less ideal option is that they saw what happened round one and maybe relaxed a little bit moving into King's Row, where, once again, everyone feels comfortable at King's Row. That's all it takes to really capitalize. Underestimate your opponent and, well, they can really run away with the snowball, which is exactly what you want to do, especially when you get closer to those tough checkpoints. It's only going to be one. Oh, again? Jeez, are they going to be ready for this? So much damage.
Like this. They do have Sunshine on the Sojourn, though, so if anybody can stem the tide, it's going to be her.
The damage boost all the time here for Cool Guy as well. He's taken down. She's taken down. That was massive. Huge plays coming through from Mochi's defense.
This is fantastic. This is what we needed to see. But of course, this time around, they expected the Pharah. So of course, they bring out the Sojourn. So that was the big disadvantage they had previously. And okay, they did immediately swap onto the Cassidy, but by that point, they'd already lost the point. This time around, however, they expect it. They have that hit scan available, and they shut it down. They slow it down massively. Now, this is where the big question mark's going to start to come in. How does Cool Guy adapt to this?
We got Maniac over on the Sombra as well. We had a couple of DPS flips, but now they've seemed to have settled on the Pharah Sombra combination. And, well, like I said, it's still only one tick needed. There's 2 minutes now left on the clock, and, well, a little bit of a pattern seems to have emerged with Cool Guy being the first one pick. And, geez, you said it earlier in the match. Sunshine took down both the Mercy and the Pharah, and, Mochi couldn't quite handle the fight, but this time Sunshine's just taking him down right out of the gate.
Can you imagine if Mochi completely shut them out here? If they deny Overbuff from even getting one tick after such a strong start to this map? Overbuff definitely going to be feeling the pressure here.
That is the Amp Matrix coming through here from Army, and 2 picks already. It's still a chance here for Mochi to hold this defensive point, and the res is successful onto Cool Guy. I am surprised that was not shut down, and he gets 2 kills during the barrage. Sam, that was absolutely disrespectful in their face. I'm not sure what's more disrespectful, the 2-foot barrage or the 2-foot tire.
Oh my goodness, that was very, very stressful to watch, but once again, Mochi maintain. They shut down Cool Guy, and of course the race does go through thanks to a very well-timed Zarya bubble, but it doesn't matter because that Batiste has been hitting shots like crazy, but now Safrona has swapped onto the Lucio. I'm curious.
Oh, only Aramari is unhindered by that EMP, but it's not going to be quite enough there to keep their team in this fight. There's still more people getting picked, and Jam gets a kill onto Cool Guy. He falls a little bit too low, and there's another one. Oh my gosh, there was a chance there for Mochi to go ahead and defend that, but as you can see, the lone Safrona goes ahead, takes the win for Overbuff, and that's going to tie up the series.
Jeez, one little tick. And to be fair, Mochi did such a good job at trying to burn down that clock. In fact, they came so close to touching point at the very, very last second there. Genji dashes in, but it was just too late. They couldn't contest it. An incredible performance, I think, from both teams here across the board. It has just been super fun to watch, and I can't wait to watch our third map, right? It's going to be Push, and obviously with Mochi having lost that map, they're going to get to pick which map we go on to, and of course this is very much like how we talk about Control is a very, special and specific type of map. Push, of course, being the newest map, definitely also has some very interesting elements that the other maps don't have. And I obviously with Overwatch 2 having just launched publicly, properly, there was of course the beta for quite some time that some people were playing in, but with it now only very recently going public, a lot of these players might not have a ton of experience on Push. So this is going to be a big question mark for some of these teams.
I agree with you there, and honestly, I'm excited to be going to one of these newer Push maps, right? We're getting out of the comfort zone here on Control and Hybrid, which of course we've only visited Kings Row so far. But I'm really excited to see what these teams bring to the table. They have been some very different performances map to map, Sam. And, I'm wondering who is really going to take the cake for this first round robin. Folks, we'll see you in just a moment when we get back to our third map. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Challengers Cup. Sam, we're about to move into our match point round here of seeing number 1 on Overbuff go up against Mochi. And I gotta say, this back and forth has been so exciting to see so far.
Yep, and it looks like we may have gotten it wrong. I jumped the gun a little bit. It pushes our tiebreaker, so that's like later on if we get there. We're actually going to Esports. I'm sorry, chat. Debated. Unfortunately, we're not going to see the push. Or we might, who knows. But as of right now, it's not happening. I'm sorry.
Way to be a heartbreaker, Sam.
My
own included.
You know, like when I was a kid, my parents were like, she's gonna be a heartbreaker, and you know, they meant guys, and it turned out it was Twitch chat. I'm sorry. So anyways,
well, I guess it could have been worse, right? It could have been a lot more traumatic from a lot more people.
This is true.
But
So
I'm
Mochi's map pick here. Unfortunately, they didn't let us know what their favorite maps were, so I genuinely have no idea what to expect coming into this one. I'm kind of hoping for the Circuit Royale. Obviously, it's one of the newer maps, but I feel like maybe for comfort, we might stick on the Dorado or the Route, just because, of course, it's a map that teams are a lot more familiar with. So it seems a little bit more likely we might see one of those.
Yeah, well, and with how strong Sunshine has been playing on that Sojourn, I wouldn't be surprised if they really wanted to maybe play Circuit Royale where they had those really long sight lines or leaned toward, well, there you have it, Dorado. And, well, it has tons of high ground as well. So I'm really expecting to see the Diva come through because, you know, being stuck on that ground floor as a tank is always real rough when you're just soaking up the damage nonstop and you can't even get up there to, you know, give them a little punch or a little pepper damage.
Yeah. I think this might be one of those maps where there's a little bit more potential for the Kiriko as well, and for the same reason, right? Like when people are behind walls or if they're on a high ground, then you're able to just quickly kind of bamf to them, use that shift ability, get into a good position, heal them up,
or
and
wall
then,
climb.
get back. Or wall climb, right?
Way to go. Okay, finally we got a support who can wall climb. Man.
Do you know that I keep forgetting I have that? I was like streaming Overwatch and I got stuck on a wall and I was like, I can't shift to anyone. And my friend in chat was like, but you can wall climb. I was like, I can wall climb.
Yeah.
I'm not used to being able to do that.
Well, and it's honestly, before Kiriko was a character released, I was always wanting Ana to be able to do that, right? She's so strong, and I don't need her to be able to super jump, but it would be nice if I could, like, you know, Hanzo hop over to the high ledge or just wall up a bit there or climb up the wall a bit on that front. But looks like Kiriko is the ninja we asked for, and she can do it all.
And well, apparently we asked for it and we shall not receive. I suppose the BAP works as well as a beautiful ability to also, you know, hop up into tough spots. Mochi, however, opting for the Zen, and I quite like the Zen as much as it is. You know, he's far less mobile. That Discord orb can be. Oh, there it is. There it is. Maybe. Okay, I need to stop getting like so overexcited when teams are still on attack. Like they could be heavily debating me, and I keep like. So we'll take a look at what Overbuff is up to, and of course the Ana Lucio. That is also one of those El Clasicos that we tend to see quite often. But this is a very strong dive composition for this defense, which is very interesting.
Sorry, Sam, no Kiriko. Looks like you're the one who gets the tease this time.
I got debated. You know, it's karma. It's only fair.
Right. We had a few of those today. Hammy falling very low, but it is Aramori with a very clutch Immo coming through, saving her just at the last moment. Can't be down a support. Support your supports. Friendly PSA. And, well, there is the aggression coming through there from Overbuff. They do not want to let up on this hammer, but it's a little too close. Maniac does go down, and, well, Mochi takes the momentum away in the kill feed as a result.
Yeah, the dive was attempted for Overbuff, but it's Mochi's dive that seems to do that little bit better. And, I mean, it's not even like a classic dive, as it were, right? You got the Sojourn coming out, but of course the Zen is so good, and this is where that target focus becomes so important, because as soon as that Zen calls a Discord, you've got to focus that hero, and if you can do that adequately, then your team is going to have a massive upper hand.
There is the Amp Matrix coming through. Oh, but it doesn't matter. Everyone from Mochi got cut down from the blade here from Cool Guy. And, well, that's going to stop the offense in their tracks just before this first tick. And that could be really critical here for the defense.
Oh, nice, giving a little bit of space for themselves. I think that the Sombra is definitely starting to pay off a little bit more here. You call out those. That's okay, Bab. Nobody saw that. It's okay, Armory.
Happens to the best of us.
And to the worst of us. So, you know. Oh, this flank. Oh, production, I love you so much, because this flank could be so big. Yes, there it is in the back line on the Lucio and back in his team. Okay, it did nothing. I'm sad.
You know, a little much ado about nothing except for building up that ult charge. We've seen how effective the Genjis are using it. And, well, Hammy goes ahead and uses his own Dragon Blade. It's going to be a nice zoning coming through there from Turing, but there has still been a lot of people from Overbuff cleaved down. Turing decides, maybe I don't care. Going to take one more down with me as a result, but Mochi here looking to push this point. A nice trickle and contest coming through from Overbuff, and the sound barrier may be exactly what they need to continue stalling this and preventing Mochi from catching this first checkpoint.
Oh, the Discord on Cool Guy, and somehow he's still surviving through it, as now the rest of his team have managed to catch up. He manages to take down Sunshine, and that's massive, because Sunshine has been so big in this fight, map after map, but Aramori is quick to trade it back, and now it looks like Mochi could be able to take control.
And Aramori has the Amp Matrix online as well. They got a pick onto Maniac? Okay, well, it looks like Mochi knows it's time to get aggressive. They all go ahead, push on that Amp Matrix, and there is the first checkpoint cap they are looking for, and of course, the time bank refresh they are looking for.
That's going to give them just a little bit of a breath of fresh air, a bit of a stay of execution, as now they've got quite a little bit of time here to just keep that payload moving, starting to build up into those ultimates. Hammy getting very, very close to the blade as well. Claire's on my Kiriko, so I'm happy. Couldn't be happier, to be perfectly honest. Glad to see her out on the field here and doing work, but now the Dragon Blade is out, so there's nothing to defend.
So, yeah, Cool Guy here. Honestly, that is a heyday for a Genji. The dash resets are absolutely outrageous, and when he's dashing that often, he has more blinks than Tracer, and that is just so abusive sometimes in the game. Sometimes I ask myself, why was CC removed after watching a blade like that?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, right, a 10-second cooldown to, you know, nullify an ultimate, probably not too fair, but
I don't know about those dash resets over and over. We already have a Tracer character. Nah.
You know what? I feel like everyone else should just get good.
Right, well, totally fair. I can take a hint and definitely take notes, which I'm sure we've all been doing. Honestly, if you're not taking notes on these DPS players from both of these teams, you're missing out, folks, because the blades are incredible regardless of not having any nano, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't even need it, right? You get a key pick off, make sure that there's nothing to really deny your blade from getting full value, and you just go ham. Only, a pun slightly intended. But of course, Cool Guy is getting relatively close to her ultimate as well. Gonna get that blade online, and not to mention, of course, Turing oh no. I was waiting for the bomb, but it's actually the hack that comes out.
Oh, but it does. Ruby goes ahead, manages to throw the self-destruct regardless, and well, the immortality field only fended off death for just a moment. Other members soon following here, and well, we can see Turing getting so many resources, does get pops the self-destruct as a result, and Well, Mochi now on the back foot. They've only got 30 seconds left, Sam, if they want to have a strong regroup to team fight.
There's a couple of ultimates online here for Overbuff as well, so...
Oh dear.
No, they've
That's
lost their
the pick.
honor. That could be it.
Sound barrier has been thrown. Overbuff's trying to get aggressive and play off the back of that, but we can see Mochi has so many ultimates. They have so many people on this cart with the numbers advantage on top of it. Some nice juking going out there from the ever skinny and tiny and hard to hit Baby Diva, but Mochi once again capping at the very last moment, Sam.
At least it gives them once again that little bit of extra time, but far less I think than they would have liked, obviously considering Overbuff have that spawn advantage at the moment. Now Mochi going in for a fairly aggressive push. 3 of those players just trying to do a little bit of damage, try and stem the tide a little bit. Maniac caught on the flank is taken out. Mochi could have some room to push, but Cool Guy responds.
Man, I gotta say, my heart breaks for Claire on that Kiriko because once again, I'm complaining about the Genji dash reset here to recircle. You teleport away to your friendly teammate, and what happens? He's got his dash reset, so he can still chase you regardless of where you flee to. Oh, and it's reset once the ult's popped, so there's no escape from the death.
It is a bit of a rough one, but again, you know, kind of goes to that planning, right? If that blade's going to come out, got to make sure you've got something for it. Ult tracking, super, super important, and trying to keep up, right? Hammy, 80% to another blade, and Safrona only on 47% to a beat drop. So it's going to take that little bit more, maybe try and hack Hammy out, stop her from being able to actually pop that and get value. They don't have a whole hell of a lot to use here to try and deal with it.
Little bit of a wait and see for the right opportunity to try and push on. We can see the hack there onto Aramori, and does have to force out the immortality field as a result. Hammy gets taken down very, very low and hacked up in the process. Dragon Blade is on a line, but when will it be used? A nice zoning attempt here from Turingen. That's a huge EMP. There is no Dragon Blade anymore. Hammy's gone back to spawn, regardless of also being hacked. And now we can see that there are still members of Mochi trying to just clutch this out. A couple of them alive on this point. Overtime bar has been triggered, and pushing into that sound barrier is going to be almost impossible. We see that it is just both supports out there on the payload, and there's Ruby joining this front line fight. Sam, this is going to be a nail biter down to the wire if Mochi's going to take this back.
Oh, there we go. Blade comes out. Hammy in it to win it. Kills the Baby Diva and now has free roam. That's the honor off as well. No supports left here as Mochi just roll that payload through. Overbuff with only Safrona left to try to stop that cart from running through, and it's just not going to be possible. They make it in overtime, but they make it. They get that 3rd point push, and if they can mount a strong enough defense, it could be enough.
I am really, really excited to see the defense that Mochi brings to the table, because it needs to be very different from what we saw on King's Row. And that push was a little bit tough for them, you know? Overbuff seems to have adapted and gotten a bit of a handle on some of Mochi's quick capitalization kind of play style. And, well, I love the run for the money that both of these teams are giving each other. We're at 1-1 right now, Sam. This is, honestly, we're heating up.
Oh, yeah. This is way more hotly contested, and it's good to see that there is a level of evenness between these two teams, right? Because having 2 really one-sided matches would have been a little bit sad, I'll be honest. So it's nice to see that these 2 teams are really, really pushing each other to the limits. Now, Claire's going to be sticking on the Kiriko on the defensive side here. And again, I think that this can work really well because you're able to get past a lot of these walls and barriers and differences in, you know, high ground, low ground, etc., etc. But what I'm curious to see is what are Overbuff going to bring to the table here? Mochi are running basically what they ran on their attacking half, right? You got the Batiste, which does a ton of healing with the Immortality Field, plus the cleanse on top of that. So there's a lot of supportive utility here, and of course the Diva Assassin available. But it looks like Overbuff going for that little bit of a dive, but they're bringing the Moira to the fight.
Oh my goodness, Overbuff absolutely just relentless here on this opening front. They go for the hack onto Aramori in the back, get the kill, and from there everything on Mochi just collapses and falls into place for Overbuff to keep on pushing through. They had that advantage, and look at this, they've already pushed the cart up here into this choke point. Sam, they're going to be looking to continue aggressing forward, and well, this hack here onto the health pack is going to give them even more control space.
This is such a strong initial push here, and oh, there you go. That's delayed spawn is Claire. It's going to take her a while to get back to the rest of her team here. Oh, Overbuff just not giving any space, but Turing could be in a little bit of danger. She gets out with her life. That's huge.
Yeah, that is a good move there. And well, Mochi's still continuing to contest this first point. They want to shave off way more time on the clock, and well, they are doing everything in their power to continue to do so. Claire does go down as a result, and well, Ruby doesn't have the sustain she needs to stay in this fight. It's all about just a bit of you know, peeling off the time bank here at the end, but 5 minutes on the clock, Sam. This is going to be some tough defense.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of trickle towards the end there. And of course, it is somewhat to be expected. They're about to get that first point. You want to stop them from doing so. You try and delay for as much as possible. But of course, I think it was inevitable that Overbuff were going to be able to get that first point and start getting that roll through. Oh, no. Oh, Maniac. She's on her nonsense again. She's looking to get a pick off. But with Cool Guy getting taken off the board here, Maniac may need to play a little bit more safe.
Yeah, and Cool Guy also had Dragon Blade online, so that's definitely something you want to wait to have back on the table as a resource pushing into the next fight. It's good time taken off the clock, though, for Mochi.
And I mean, bearing in mind, Mochi have so many ultimates online. Yeah, they've also brought out the Soldier to complement Sunshine on the Sojourn, but Turing, the Diva Assassin, will take Hammy straight off the board. But again, like, that didn't take an ultimate off the board. It took a player off the board. And oh, that EMP.
4 out of 5 people on Mochi clipped. And, well, that means there's 3 of those ultimates unavailable during this fight to receive any of this damage. Hammy does go ahead, get that pick there onto Cool Guy in the back. But Mochi looking to regroup here and try and hold before the second checkpoint.
Oh, but that's given Overbuff the time to build up some ultimates of their own. Maniac, no, I thought she got away, but taken down at the very last second. The Coalescence to just try and help keep that sustain going a little bit longer, but Mochi continue to re-aggress.
That's the sound barrier reinforcing Overbuff here on this fight. Cool Guy goes ahead and throws the Dragon Blade into the heart of them as a result, and there's a kill onto Turing from the self-destruct. Mochi looking to hold this defensive point here and just fend off Overbuff right here at the last point.
Oh, I mean, they still have 3 minutes. This is the really crazy part. Like, there is so much time still to push, but they burnt everything in that last engagement. To be fair, so did Mochi. Like, every ultimate in the game was just about used. Hammy still holding on to the tack visor, so that's available for the next engagement. But bearing in mind, Overbuff will now have nothing to deal with it. They're going to have to play line of sight. They're going to have to hope that their Diva can eat most of those bullets so that they can just survive a little bit longer if they want to stop this push from going through.
There's a lot of pressure there on the tanks to honestly just save their resources when possible. And oh man, Claire's getting hunted by the Ninja. Genji himself does go down in the end. There's still some exchanges, and well, that's Overbuff pulling away in the lead of the kill feed there. Hammy goes down up the top. Sunshine is low as we speak, and well, Overbuff rolling this cart.
There it is. I mean, to be fair, Mochi managed to burn off like half the time that Overbuff had available, and still they continue to contest. They recontest as a full stack. Claire absolutely pops off on the Kiriko. She's having an absolute field day, and just like that, Overbuff are forced to retreat after losing those 2 players. They're struggling a lot more than I thought they would.
Yeah, I mean, Claire came back like an absolute claymore at the end of that fight, clutching it out for Mochi. But, we're pushing into our last 120 left on the clock, and EMP is fast approaching, Sam. That can be, it is crippling when you're on the receiving end of the EMP, and they have been connecting on almost every target intended. It's going to be a lot of pressure here on Maniac to really ensure that they're getting the EMP is connecting with who it needs to, taking off those resources. Ruby has the self-destruct available, and there it is, gonna have to be used. Beautiful. There's the EMP on top of it all. No one's available to run away. Sliced down at the end, and, well, it is still Overbuff here on this cart. A DMEC comes through onto Ruby just to clean it up at the end, and the second checkpoint's capped.
I was watching those two ultimates slowly building up, the EMP and the Blade, and I was like, they're going to combo that, and it works out perfectly. The EMP only gets about 2 players, but the Blade comes through, and it manages to just slice and dice like a hot knife through butter. Overbuff will manage to get that second checkpoint, but now Mochi with that spawn advantage, Cool Guy taken off the board, and they can press this advantage.
See, once Mochi gets the momentum and knows that they've won the fight, it seems like their confidence really picks up and they win it decisively. Whereas, it gets a little messier, and in the chaos, I feel like Overbuff starts to thrive.
Yeah, and this is again where that ability to reset, regroup, and stabilize really comes into play. For Mochi, when they lose a player, they're able to regroup a lot better than what we've seen from Overbuff. But Overbuff have a lot of raw power.
Sunshine gonna go ahead and show off their own raw power here in this overclock. The railgun taking people out one after another, and well, now the time bank is extremely low here for Overbuff. This is exactly the position that Mochi wants to be in. If Ruby can live and save her charge, she's gonna be a force to be reckoned with for the next fight.
Now this is starting to get a little bit stressful for Overbuff. They have 1, maybe 2 fights depending on how quickly they get back to point left. In fact, I think it might even just be this 1 fight. They only have sound barrier available. Cool Guy should be able to build into the Blade, but is it going to be enough? They burnt so much in that previous fight.
Sound barrier is popped, and there is the Amp Matrix in response. Immortality Field already committed there, and Cool Guy falls very low. He's 18 health, and a Dream trying to keep this team in the fight, taken down as a result. And well, that is Mochi coming away clean in this kill feed, one after another. Grabs online for good measure if needed, and at match point, Mochi goes ahead, takes this final win, and is going to take their first round in the round robin series.
Overbuff had a good idea there in that last engagement. They try and deny as much damage as possible by going through the building and all the way around up on the high ground, but unfortunately they have to start funneling through a very open space. They take so much damage that about 3 of their players are already on critical HP before the sound barrier drops, which means that they're already, they're still at a little bit of a disadvantage. So unfortunately, the plan that they had just amounted to not very much, and Mochi, they managed to roll through quite nicely despite a couple of ups and downs over the course of this series. They come through really strong at the end of it, and well, they might be number 1 on Overbuff, but in this particular series it was Mochi that were number 1.
And I'm sure Mochi's gonna be riding high after a win like that, moving into the next few rounds. And well, I suspect that might not be the last time we see both of those teams, maybe even facing off against each other this tournament. So, there's still plenty of results yet to be had. It was really nice to see the adaptations coming through, though, from both sides, right? All 3 very different maps and, honestly, gameplay tempos overall. And I loved seeing that pharmacy come through and really catch Mochi off on their back foot there during King's Row. But that defense they brought out there for Dorado at the end, that's offense sells tickets and defense wins games. There's your example.
Wow. Honestly, I think that, speaking about the the ability for these players to flex onto different heroes and to be able to play them to that same kind of level, the variety, the versatility, it's such an important and key aspect if you want to be able to reach those higher echelons of a top tier play. And we're already starting to see sparks of that here between some of these two teams. And bearing in mind, we kind of spoke about this a little bit earlier, but these were two teams that participated in the Empowerment Cup earlier this year. They came tied third, fourth, both of them, and we can actually see now how pretty evenly matched they were then and now as well. So it's nice to see that they've kind of continued to maintain that strength or improve on it, and keep growing and keep competing. And like you said, I don't think that this is going to be the end for them. I think there's a very good chance we'll see both of those two teams in the playoffs on Sunday.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm really happy to see that, these teams are transitioning so easily from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. There were a lot of significant reworks, changes, and honestly, the game was kind of rebooted with only one tank now in the mix. And our highest ranking players, our best teams that have the most synergy and that are actually bringing the value to the table, they're the ones that adapted really fast to this, new type of Overwatch that we're seeing played. And it's really refreshing. And honestly, there can only be more improvement from here. And we're still so early into, the lifetime of Overwatch 2.
Yeah. I think that there's still also a lot of learning to do. Obviously, most of these teams, they're not masters of the new game, just yet. With a little bit more time, I think that the grasp on these heroes is going to massively increase as we get a little bit more practice, a little bit more exposure. But for the time being, we've definitely made a solid start. I'm looking forward to seeing how much more they progress.
Yeah, and we're still getting some patches all the time. There's plenty of room for characters to settle in and find a bit more of a comfortable rhythm. Folks, we're going to take it to a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We will be right back with more. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Challengers Cup. For those of you just joining us, we are starting off our one of two qualifiers here, and we are in the midst of our third matchup of the day. Sam, we've had some quite some back and forths across the board so far. What are your thoughts on our next one coming up?
Yeah, I'm a little bit interested to see it myself. Obviously, our first match was not as close as we would have wanted. It was a little bit one-sided, but our second match was incredible to watch. So back and forth. I don't think either of us really expected just how closely contested it was going to be. Now, as we come into our third game, you do more or less expect it to be, you know, somewhat similar. And so as we head into this, I'm super excited because I was looking for this, right? And there's so many teams to look through, so I struggled. But I was looking for the Oomphy Aimers who won the Empowerment Cup. And seeing these names, that's when it hit me. These, so Altiora, Artemis are basically the core from the Oomphy Aimers who came first in the Empowerment Cup. So this is potentially, at the very least, one of the best teams, as far as we're aware, right, from what we've seen previously, that we have right now. And I cannot wait to see how they perform this evening. Of course, it will be their debut on stream for this tournament. And, you know, we know how incredibly well they performed during the Empowerment Cup. So to see them back here a few months later with a little bit of practice under their belts, this is going to be such an awesome show.
Well, and they were a force to be reckoned with during the Empowerment Cup as well. And, well, we just saw in our last match from Mochi how effective that synergy can be to helping you win these games. And, well, you got to be careful because Altiora Artemis is going to have that exact same synergy. And they probably also have a target on their back as a result, Sam.
Oh yeah, very, very likely. I think most of these teams will recognize these players from that Empowerment Cup, particularly obviously if they were involved in it. And whenever you see the person at the top, that's the person you're going for, right? You're coming at the crown. You're not here to just play around. But, you know, maybe some teams are here for, you know, experience and you know, what they can learn from it. But for those higher tier teams, the teams that are really looking to take this to the next level, they want to take that crown away. So looking forward to seeing how they do that. And of course, the team that's going to be taking their first shot, at the very least on stream, is going to be Nightshade. And this is an interesting one for me because we don't have as much information on this team, right? They're a little bit of a dark horse here. We don't really know what to expect from them, and I'm wondering, you know, how much they're going to be able to push back against a team that we know is so good, like Artemis.
Yeah, well, I'm also looking to see at how well they withstand some of the strategy that Artemis is going to bring to the table. In our first matchup, we saw we saw both teams facing off, right? And regardless of how the fight was unfolding, there was always some kind of response, and the grouping up and the fundamentals were there even when they were on the back foot. And that's what I expect to see coming through from pretty much all of these teams, regardless of who they're going up against. I did see there that Diamond Dog has a bit of a favorite on the Winston. So we might see a bit of a change of pace, maybe on their attack or their strategy around that comfort level, or maybe that preferred pick. You know, juggling mechanics are tough. And if she's mastered that, then really big hats off to you there.
Well, I saw somebody pick the Mercy, and that just made me happy because I love Mercy. Rain or shine, no matter what the meta. If it was goats, I'd be playing Mercy. I was one of those players. Yes, I know you all hated me, but I love Mercy. You know, it has to be said. I know that I'm kind of betraying her a little bit these days with the Kiriko, but you know, Mercy, it's my first love. Always will be.
A little eye candy from the other supports. I can relate.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you gotta like branch out a little bit, explore, and then you come home, right? You come home to
Now,
the Mercy.
since you're a big Mercy fan, I have to ask you, right? Are you a witch or a mage person?
Neither. I'm a Valkyrie, Sigrun, okay?
Oh,
We go like full
what a
Viking
nice
on it.
change of pace. I love
Yeah,
it.
like witch mage, please. Pfft. It's either one of the Valkyrie skins or it's gonna be like Pink Mercy, you know?
That's fair. Yeah,
A little bit polarizing, but that's where I kind of sit on the
well,
spectrum.
Pink Mercy is a whole different ball game, and
Honestly.
actually, I might get mine back since we can reconnect. We can link our accounts.
Yeah.
My OG Xbox account still has that skin. That'd be nice to have on PC these days, as I mean, it was an incredible opportunity to help support breast cancer awareness. So it's a very fond memory in the community as a whole. And, hopefully we see more of that type of stuff and partnerships coming up with Overwatch 2. We're already here for the marginalized gender community, and I see no reason not to take it to the next level.
100%. And something that did just pop up, if you did miss it, so Altiora Artemis's record at the moment is 2-0 in the Swiss stage, and Nightshade are 1-1. So having a little bit of a struggle there. They did lose one of their matches, but Artemis, as we probably would have predicted, just steamrolling through the competition for right now. We'll see if that continues along here. I'm waiting for the barriers to go down. I never know how much I should believe what I see on the screen before the game actually starts. There you go. Changes start to happen. Elam is not playing Doomfist. It's going to be Zarya, and of course complemented by Wiz's Zarya. Now, Wiz is in the middle, and that just confused my brain.
Dear.
I was like looking at Diamond Dog, and I'm like, what? That's not a tank.
Yeah, well, and it looks like that is honestly quite unexpected all around. We saw that on the lineup earlier, but Artemis doesn't care. They have this in the bag, and well, it doesn't matter who you're rolling out on or which role. They're just gonna take that point.
I mean, wow, quick as you like. Honestly, just rolling straight through, dominate the competition. Leave one person on the point just to cap it over, and the rest do choke patrol and just do not allow Artemis to push through. Immediately Rose is taken off the board there. That's Sojourn, just such a powerful hero.
Man, I feel bad for anyone trying to push into these Sojourns, because the railgun shots have been on point for pretty much every single match, and the amount of quick damage that rolls through, just taking you out of the fight in the blink of an eye, is crippling for your team. It keeps happening. Bun is consistently getting these picks, Sam, and I don't know how to put pressure on them. Look at that, 98% to overclock.
Yeah. Bun has been terrifying, honestly. I feel like that's been a bit of a theme with our Sojourn players across the board here. Just consistently being an absolute menace to the enemy team. And, I mean, you just look at the ult charge between Bun and Diamond Dog, just absolutely lapping the competition.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Just constantly outputting the damage here for Altiora Artemis. And, well, the kill feed is saying it all. They are only flooding it, and well, they're shutting down Nightshade with ultimates still in the bank.
That's a lot of time to spare as well. Oh, geez, slowly ticking away. Nightshade. Oh, that's big. They've taken Bun off the board. Finally getting a little bit of an opening here. Can they press it?
Oh, and pushing straight into the Kitsune rush. That is honestly big trouble. They threw the grab for good measure, so no one could escape from HK's blade. 99%, and that's going to be a clean map take there for Altiora Artemis.
Ooh, all right. Things are getting a little warm in here, I think. Definitely starting to heat up a little bit. I think Nightshade starting to feel the pressure. It felt like they couldn't even, I don't think they touched the point. Now that I think about it, like Artemis just consistently had so much pressure that Nightshade just could not find any room to wiggle. Now I'm curious. And again, like, I never want to say anything until the barriers actually drop. But I am curious if this Echo is actually going to come through. The Hog, I think, is doable. Obviously, because it is... there is potential for hooks, and yes, it looks like Wiz is in fact going to roll out on the Hog. Ilum kind of hovered on it just to troll us a little bit there, but is on the Zarya instead. And yes, the Echo has come out as well. That's quite a bit more damage for this Artemis roster.
I like seeing Elam here on this Zarya for Artemis. Going to be looking to really build that charge and be a nasty presence on the front line. Not too much pressure being put on Bun here in the sky quite yet, but she is staying out of the way of those hit scan characters. Knows that there's that, well, that's going to be her weakness as the Echo. HK just goes ahead and, well, takes care of any potential threats. Everyone from Artemis can just hang out for a moment.
Just hanging out, you know, we're chilling, we're vibing. They've, you know, once again, cleanly and dominantly taken control of that point, and now they can just let that start to tick away. And I honestly think that yeah, I'm glad to see that Wiz has swapped off of the Hog, because I think that it was feeding a lot of charge into Elam. As much as you can get those hooks, if you're playing into that Zarya, if you're allowing her to consistently get so much charge, then better to swap off.
Yeah, with Bun on the Echo too, that is a sticky haven for them, charging up that duplicate onto such a big character like Roadhog over and over again. That duplicate is close to being ready, but so is the Dragon Blade, and both of these DPS have been really effective when they have their ultimates online.
Oh, fun. Whether it's a projectile, a hit scan, doesn't really matter. Just seems to be ahead of the curve a little bit yet. All of this chip damage slowly pushing through. And there's the cleanup from HK, the aggressive push into their spawn, the disrespect, but no overzealousness, right? You push it a little bit and you pull back. Don't waste time. Don't, you know, get overly aggressive. Don't get overconfident. Pull back. They know they've got a little bit of time to work with here. And Nightshade, I mean, they haven't even been able to pull up ultimates yet. They're just consistently getting pushed back, that Artemis don't even have to worry about this next engagement.
I love that discipline we saw from Artemis, not overextending in general. Love the duplicate from above. Honestly, a huge drop down. Now she's running as Zarya. I don't even think she's going to be able to charge her ultimate. And, well, it is looking rough here. We see, oh, of course, the spawn grab. That's going to prevent anyone from escaping, with Altiora Artemis taking the first map.
I actually saw towards the end there, like, some of the Nightshade players were just kind of like, okay, we're done here. It's fine. You could just, yeah. That was pretty rough to watch. I'm a little concerned about what the second map is going to bring. I know if we recall back to our previous matchup, and as we've said a few times, Control is very much its own beast. And as we move on to our hybrid map, there's definitely possibility for some changes to come through, some shifting in momentum. But given how strong Artemis is, given that we know that they are a seasoned team, I mean, not only did they win Empowerment Cup, but a lot of their players... Yeah, but like, not only did they win Empowerment Cup, but a lot of their players have played in Open Division and have, you know, gotten some really good placings there as well. So these are very, very experienced players. And I'm a little bit concerned for Nightshade. I'm just not sure they're going to be able to keep up with the pressure.
Yeah, it is definitely tough going up against a team like Artemis, who has played at some pretty high levels of competition, stress, and stakes for that matter, right? Open Division has a lot on the line, trying to move up that path to pro into contenders and the pro scene. And, you know, I'm sure they're much more comfortable and not really feeling the same type of pressure moving into a tournament like this. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of eyes on everyone playing here today. I know we're all cheering for our favorite teams and our friends here on the broadcast, but it is definitely a huge advantage to have experienced something like this before and have already mentally readied yourself, and you know, the changes in some of the tide won't affect you nearly as much as we proceed through the remainder rounds.
Yeah, 100%. But we're going to be back for our second map very, very shortly, folks. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Challengers Cup. We are moving into our second map here of the evening for our third series. And Sam, it's going to be a pretty tough battle for pretty much anyone going up against Altiora Artemis. They have been showing some really, really strong and clean fundamentals so far.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at, so obviously all of the teams, they get a little sheet to fill in for us because, again, a lot of these players are relatively unknown, relatively new to the scene. So we like to reach out and find out a little bit about them and about their teams and their history and so on. And there was like a little block for anything we should know, and Artemis fills in, we're here to win.
Oh,
like,
yeah, totally.
This team is not messing around. They want to win the whole shebang. So clearly, they are going to be putting in as much effort as humanly possible. Now, we head on over to Hybrid, and obviously it is loser's choice. And I was wondering again if we're going to see one of those new maps, but no, we're sticking to the old classics. Eichenwald coming through here. Again, it's a map that teams are a little bit more familiar with, so it does make sense that they would try and stick with something they know. Oh my goodness, stop dying.
Oh. Yeah, Sam, take it away for just another moment. I need to get a drink of water.
You know what? You do that because you're not sounding too great. All right, so these two teams, it hasn't been as closely contested as I think we would have liked, but now we jump into Eichenwald at last, and the Kiriko is coming out, so of course I am quite happy. But here's a nice little thing for you folks. We're finally seeing a Junker Queen. We haven't actually seen too much of her, and nope, never mind, it's a diva. I was debated. The barriers had gone down, the team was going to set up their defense, and I still got debated. I'm sad. But we'll take a look at their defensive setup here now that they actually have made their way over to the point and they can't possibly debate me any further. And it is a pretty much dive-centric setup. The Kiriko, I think, is going to be really powerful here in helping that out. And as we take a look over at Nightshade, possibly a Junker Queen. Have I been debated a second time? No, we are actually seeing the Junker Queen come out here along with the Hanzo for some potential early pickups.
Oh, yeah, and so far pushing through this choke point, we can see Nightshade trying to take that advantage, and they are actually picked off early. It's going to be tough already, down 2 players trying to push through this choke, and honestly, Sam, pushing into Bun on this sojourn through this narrow alleyway, it is going to be almost nigh impossible.
Oh, there you go. Disruptor comes out as well to deny a little bit of space there. Going to force them to possibly have to take a different entryway entirely. Nightshade, once again, just struggling. Not being spawn camped, so they can make it out of spawn, but really struggling to find themselves an in onto the point at all. I mean, what do you do at this point? I'd almost want to see a Junkrat, right? You can't really go Pharaoh because the hit scan is available, but a little bit of spam damage might just be the play.
Ooh, this boost here from Wiz might be exactly what Nightshade needed to try and break through the defense. Does get booped away there from some damage, but man, the focus fire there from Artemis is too much. Wiz was sectioned out just a bit alone, and well, that's a lot of time still taken off the clock.
Unfortunately, Nightshade really, as we mentioned, struggling to find an in. As Paige also just gets that late pick off, so has to wait to respawn and to, you know, engage with the rest of the team. Feels like the healing has been a big struggle here for Nightshade. Some of these,
yeah,
I'm a little surprised. Like, they stay low for so long and then Artemis just clean it up.
Well, and they're cleaning it up really, really decisively and with minimal resources, right? You can see Wicca only went ahead and committed the Kitsune there. They still have both they have 4 ultimates coming up to be online. You can tell I'm still doing some Overwatch 1 math in my head there, but we can see Nightshade still pushing on through. You can't push into Bun on the overclock. I'm glad that they're deciding to wait out. They've already lost 2 more, and H-Key's aggression just pushes them back even farther, Sam. There is literally no escape from the damage potential here on Altiora Artemis.
Yeah, honestly, it does feel a little bit like bullying at this point. And there you go. One more kind of late pick off. Oh, Paige was just chilling in the middle of no man's land, and H-Key will also pick her off, take him off the board. And now Nightshade again have to wait for another player to respawn. Now, they have managed to build up quite a few of these ultimates. Oh, no. Okay. Nice little claims coming through there. But the assassin Lucio is in it to win it.
Wow. Oh, this is a heyday here for Autumnly. This is absolutely a fun time for her. Look at this. Absolutely killing it here on this Lucio. And Artemis is giving them the resources to just have some fun and be free with it here. Got Wiz moving over to the Orisa for these last 30 seconds. DPS, well, not DPS, the Cass and Kiriko trying to be sneaky, and 20 seconds on the clock, Sam. Someone's gonna have to touch. These dragons could be the alleyway clear that Nightshade needs.
Oh, the dragons come through and tries to create a little bit of space, but Wiz is not getting the healing required. Bun is taken down too. They're slowly slicing through the last few members of Nightshade, not giving them any sort of an ingress point, and that will be the first round done. Not so much as a single tick taken for Nightshade.
That is some stellar defense coming through from Artemis, and that shows why they're the number 3 ranking team in this tournament, and also why they won the Overwatch Empowerment Cup, Sam. This is some really beautiful and masterclass type of Overwatch, and you're going to be hard-pressed to find an opportunity to really break through the defense when they're playing this well as a unit.
I'm actually kind of surprised that they're only ranked 3rd given their history, but you know what? Sure, fair enough. They're here to prove it wrong, as they said in their own words. They're here to win, so see if they can make that one happen. Now the onus is on Nightshade. All of that pressure is coming down on this team. Oh god, the role swap ups coming through. Rose from the DPS onto the Zarya. Wiz off of the tank onto the Kiriko. Paige off of the Kiriko onto the Sombra. Like, they are trying everything here to just maintain a little bit of presence in this if they can. looking to try and take a slightly more aggressive approach here. They've also got the Junkrat. I'd mentioned that previously for some potential spam damage, but is it going to be enough? There's going to have to be so much coming through to keep Artemis off the point.
Little bit of scoping out coming through here from a bunch of members of Nightshade. Wiz gets away, and well, I like seeing this diversity in the members of Nightshade's character pool, all right? Not everyone can flex that diversely, and well, Autumn Lee gets taken down for being some of the front line there is that Lucio. Bun is absolutely just free firing as this Farah here. No one can seem to take a look at her, and well, that's gonna be almost one tick already. There it is in the bag, and it's gonna be Altiora Artemis taking away the win.
You gotta wonder, you know, maybe if Bastion was in the game. But unfortunately, just not enough of a strong bunker to stop that push from coming through. It was high risk, high reward. You know, bringing out the Junkrat along with the Sombra, not expecting the potential Farah, and of course, because they weren't able to get a tick themselves, there wasn't any time to try and swap and, you know, match in any sort of meaningful way. They couldn't bring out a Cassidy or a Sojourn or anything to try and deal with that Farah. Farah in the sky had so much free reign, and of course the Zarya with all that high charge. You're spamming Junkrat bombs into Zarya's shield. She's gonna charge up like a Christmas tree and melt through the opposition. So unfortunately for Nightshade, that puts their record at 1-2, and that's gonna bump Artemis up to a 3-0 record so far in this Swiss stage.
And, you know, they gotta be feeling pretty good after, you know, having a nice clean victory sweep so far for their first couple of rounds, and honestly having a really strong performance during that last match as well. We'll see how long the record lasts. We've already seen some, well, Sam, we've seen the top 3 ranking teams play this evening, actually. So we know who some of the big targets are that people are going to be gunning for this entire tournament. And, well, once again, you want to keep your eye on Altiora Artemis. Bun was... I don't even know how you can get past the DP, how you can get through any choke when the DPS just pick you off so cleanly like that. That's going to be a tough ask for anyone going up against this team.
Yep, but we are going to have a interview very, very shortly. But first, we're going to throw it to a quick break, guys. Don't go anywhere. We will have Elam coming to chat to us a little bit. So see you in a sec.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Calling All Heroes Challengers Cup. We just finished up our last match of the evening so far. We still have a couple of more round robins for some teams left on the night, and plenty of games moving into tomorrow. Now, we're still trying to see if we're about to get an interview set up with Altiora Artemis. But Sam, do you have any, additional thoughts on that last match, or maybe what you're expecting to see moving down the line for the tournament?
Yeah, I think that obviously, after today, things will start to even out a little bit in terms of where people are standing. Obviously, we'll start to get some of those results through. We'll start to figure out kind of where the skill gaps are, who are our top teams, who are our lower end teams, and so on. And I think that based on that, we should have some potentially closely matched games tomorrow, and then of course as we head on to our playoffs, it will be the top 16 teams from this round robin. And there's so much talent, I feel like, in this pool of players and this pool of teams. And here you can see our schedule for tomorrow. Again, we've got 3 more games that will be played out. We'll be going live after the Overwatch League, of course. You want to make sure that you watch that. And then when we do go live, you want to just quickly hop straight into our channel so that you can see what's happening here. But there's going to be some really, really good games tomorrow as we start to see, as I say, a lot of these teams start to separate themselves from the rest as we move closer and closer to playoffs.
Yeah, and the games are only going to continue to get better from there, especially as all those details are, being dialed in, and the measurements for, how these teams are doing just seem to get a little bit closer and closer with each match as we progress. So we'll have to see exactly, how everything unfolds later on. There's plenty of room to adapt. And, looks like we're actually bringing in our interviewee here from Altiora Artemis. Let's see here. Elam, good. Congratulations on your win and fantastic playing there.
Hi, thank you so much.
So
good to see you. I'm not good at being interviewed. I apologize beforehand.
No,
don't worry about it. We're not very good at interviewing, so
yeah, that's on us for not prepping you or giving you the right lead in. But do you have anything on your mind about the most recent match, or being a part of this tournament, or what it means to you? I
don't know. In general, I'm really excited that there are more events like this. The Overwatch Empowerment Cup was a success as far as I know. I was on the second place team, and I have only improved more since then, so I'm really excited to show people what level I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, so you've joined the core of the Ufi Aimers, who obviously won the empowerment. I need to say the first season, but the Empowerment Cup, and obviously, I mean, we can see that the skill level has massively improved. But we got to see a couple of other strong teams as well. In number 1 on Overbuff and Mochi a little bit earlier today. So, are there any of these teams that you've looked at that you've thought, wow, this team could be some really strong competition, or do you feel like your team are a little bit of a cut above the rest?
I think one of the other Altiora teams, Nimbus, I think it is. I have a few friends on that roster. I think it looks pretty strong. If I had to make a bet who we're going to end up seeing in grand finals, it's probably them. I think number 1 on Overbuff is also kind of a dark horse team. Obviously, they play Mochi, but I think they have some really skilled players and are going to keep going up.
Well, I gotta say I respect that you're already thinking in the mindset of when we see them in grand finals. I hear that passive trash talk going through. I respect it. I love it. Do you have anything you want to, tell those teams as you're kind of looking to that challenge, or maybe a glimpse into what your team is like looking at that upcoming competition?
I think everyone on my team is very skilled and very prepared, and I think we are going to take on whatever team comes at us. I think we'll do pretty good. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I'm pretty confident in how we're gonna do. I'm really proud of my team, and I think we're just gonna keep getting better.
I love that. I love that mentality. I love that you guys understand that, there's still a way to go as good as you are, and you're giving, you're putting a bit of respect on the opponents, but still feeling confident in your own skill level. It's a good thing to have. So I guess for me, I just want to know, I love doing this for interviewees, but do you have any kind of shout outs, right? Anyone you want to thank, or anyone that you want to tell that they're awesome, or anything like that, while you have the opportunity, you're here on stream. So, go ahead, floor's yours.
God, I could say a lot of names. My teammates, of course, Elijah for managing us, Firin for having us in Altiora. I don't know, everyone who's been working on this tournament is wonderful, and I think it can only go up from here. I'm really excited.
Nice.
Well, we are really excited to see how you guys continue to progress through this tournament. It's very obvious that you've all had a significant amount of growth since the Empowerment Cup, and it was not quite fun for the people trying to attack into your defense, guys. That was a that was a rough run for them. And to be honest, I am really excited to see you guys continue to do that and give a bunch of those other teams a run for their money, Elam.
Yeah, I will continue trying my best. I hope to not disappoint.
Hell yeah.
Oh, far from that. You guys have already done fantastic, and good luck on the rest of your games. And thank you for joining us here,
Thank you.
for the interview.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Aw.
All right, folks. Well, that was the last match just for today. Sam, they got plenty more in stock for themselves tomorrow. They'll be covered by Moxie and Dustin. So you guys are going to be in fantastic hands.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We did show you that schedule, so you know where to be. As soon as the Overwatch League ends, all the action will be here on the same channel. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this amazing new inclusivity initiative being brought to us by Play Overwatch. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Much love.